I think we are ready.
All right, great. Let's go ahead and get started then. Oh God, that fucking.
Thank you.
What?
I really love
why
that
is
gift.
this so fucking
Excellent.
cursed?
Scared me.
It's so scary. Why is that so scary?
I love
What the
this
fuck?
gift so much.
Where did you get that? Did you make that?
Me? No, I found that joke is ancient. I don't know where the fuck that started.
It's fucking
Yeah,
terrifying.
It's probably
Humanity
genuinely over a
is
decade
insane.
old.
Yes, yeah. The image is
Yeah, the
ancient.
the compression looks ancient. All right, on the count of
love
3,
looking at it.
let's go ahead and get everybody to say hi, Vaughn. All right, on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3.
Hi, Bob.
Hi,
Hi,
Bob.
Bob.
Hi,
Hi,
Bob.
Bob.
Hi, Bob.
Hi, Bob.
Hi, how you doing? How's everybody doing? We're here today to talk. I'm not gonna let you answer that question. Well, we're here today to talk more about some Higurashi, which I don't know if you know this, but is very good. Very, very, very good. I would say if I was allowed to vote for it for my game of the year this year, it would be this one. This is fantastic. I'm having a great time, and along with me for the ride is 25. This is the part where we wait for 25 to say something. Maybe we should move on. I don't think
I'm really sorry. I thought the silence would be a funny bit, and then I realized it wasn't. But at that point, I was too committed to do anything about it.
I like it. I'm keeping it in. It's funny. Gail J is here.
Hello, I'm here to talk about politics in Higurashi.
I love
That's what we
politics.
Love anime.
Politics
Thank
is
you.
the best. We also got an indestructible cat.
Hello, you can vote this as your game of the year. Who's gonna stop you? Yourself?
Exactly. I think I will. You know what? Rules be damned. Lack of rules be damned. Meowtroid is here.
Hello. Why isn't Callisto Protocol gonna be your game of the year, Bob?
You just remind you. I literally just had a flashback to what just happened with my audio stuff, and now I'm bummed. So that fucking sucks. Anyway, yeah, no, I'm not putting that anywhere near a list unless it's a get your money back for buying this list. Anyway, Callisto Protocol sucks. Staghorn is here. Hi, Staghorn.
Hello.
We got.
I don't have a bit. Sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. Talsriel is here. Do you have a bit?
I don't have a bit except to point out that I'm one of the few people that's about on your level as far as Higurashi progress.
Can confirm. And new cicada head. We got Turin here.
Hello. I'm just here to steal memes from your corkboard.
Oh, damn it! Everybody, quick, lock it, lock it down. And then we got ourselves Jan. How you doing, Jan? Do you have a bit?
It was you. You were the Higurashi when they cried this whole time.
Oh my god, I've been crying this whole time and nobody knew because it was raining. Spoilers.
Damn, Higurashi was the friends we made along the way.
It was. Higurashi is the cicadas we made along the way. So look
Global
at our...
warming, acid rain, it's everywhere.
Oh my god. Hey.
Higurashi is,
Acid
in fact,
rain?
about global warming.
Acid rain? Because dropping acid? Because everybody's fucking high? Anyway, so here's our amazing corkboard. Here's our amazing... I just want this to be playing, and this is such a terrifying GIF, and I love it.
Why Rika's the best character.
Rika really wants my glasses. she
I really
wants
love this GIF.
it's when it was first posted in the Discord chat, it legitimately freaked me out. The realistic hand coming. Anyways,
Jump scare.
it's really impressive. All right, so we're here to talk about Chapter 4, Himatsubushi. So let's go ahead and do our little recap, and then we're going to utilize our wonderful corkboard, and we are going to solve Higurashi. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. It's going to happen. It's going to happen today, right now. We're going to figure it all out. We got the corkboard. We got the fucking red lines. We're going to do it. It's going to happen. So,
Spoilers, it's about circumcision.
fuck. Why do you spoil it like that?
And aliens.
Oh man, I can't believe. Legitimately, honestly, I've been listening to alien abduction stories, and every time I hear one, it's like, oh man, that's actually similar to what happened in Higurashi when they cry. Anyway,
God.
Hey.
it's real. Alien abduction theory confirmed. Unofficially. So let's go ahead and talk about what happened in chapter 4. We're just like last time, we're going to go ahead and just blast into the spoilers. And we're going to have a great old time talking about it. Fortunately, it doesn't seem like anything of import happened. Just like a bland chapter. It is the time-killing chapter, after all. This is also known as Rika's question arc. Which, by the way, I don't think we said on the VOD, but this is the last of the question arcs. So, it's very, very cool. What is this? I love the art. Why is there a car with snow in it? Is that cocaine? Is that supposed to be coke?
Eocone.
Air conditioning.
Oh, yeah, the air
there you go, there you go. We got to talk about air conditioning theory.
It even looks like Oishi's car.
It's very impressive. Anyways, all right. So, chapter 4. Yeah, we got a new character. We got a new main character, seemingly, possibly, by the name of Akasaka.
His name is right there. if you need
Akasaka.
it.
No, I know, but I was flipping the S with the K, so I was saying Asakasa. So no, Akasaka.
Trust me, I've been doing that for over a decade now.
It's a little confusing to my poor little brain, which is already stressed to the max with this game and its plot twists and narrative hooks and threads and all sorts of things going all sorts of places. So, we got a new character. I believe the chapter starts with Akasaka basically talking to his wife, whose name escapes me.
It doesn't matter too much, but it's Yukie.
Yuki.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, right, yeah. Oh, how do you say that again? And how do you spell it?
Yuki.
Yuki with an E at the end.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. So, basically, Akasaka is a cop, pig, piece of shit. I hate him. Don't like him. He basically...
Oh, you're so mean.
Oh, I'm not. I haven't been mean enough. You wait for my theory. Anyway.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you're gonna love this theory. I purposefully was like, okay, what is the most batshit fucking nonsense theory that I could come up with, just to cap off the whole question arc thing? And boy, do I have it. I'm ready. I'm ready to go. If anyone wants to take over, like talking about this arc, just let me know, because I remember the broad strokes because I was also kind of trying to blast through it so that we could do this episode today. But from what I remember, what's that?
I did that earlier today. I refreshed it by just reading through it on ×2 speed.
Yeah, that's I should have done that after I finished it again. But anyway, so yeah, if I remember correctly, yeah, it starts with the sort of Akasaka talking to his wife, who is pregnant at a hospital, about having to go on a work thing. And oh wait, no, the episode starts with whose son or whose child got abducted at the very beginning? I forget the name.
Construction minister.
Construction
Minister.
Bottom there.
Grandson.
Yes. Construction minister. The grandson of the construction minister was kidnapped by S Group, aka the Sonozakis, and brought to Hinamizawa, or an area outside of just outside of Hinamizawa, if my geography is correct. So, long story short, Akasaka basically goes there, tries to figure out what's going on, talks to Oishi. Oishi is just a, creepy fucking guy. Don't trust him. Never have, never will. And Oishi basically tells him all about the demoning away and all of the stuff that's going on in Hinamizawa, and how basically nobody trusts anyone, and how if you went there, you would be killed and everybody would cover up your death, cover up your murder. So, Akasaka's like, oh, okay. So he decides to go undercover into the area, into Hinamizawa, to basically go sightseeing. And right when he does that, right when he gets off the bus, after he schedules a person to an older fella to drive him around, he gets off the bus, he turns around, and everybody's staring at him. And they have bloodshot eyes, and they're like, ooh. And the creepy music plays, and he's like, oh, fuck. And then, who does he stumble across? He stumbles across a little Rika. A little Rika. So it turns out, if you couldn't tell before from Oishi, what Oishi was saying, this episode, this arc 4, takes place, I want to say, I wrote it in my notes, I want to say it's like 10-ish years before the events
of
of
it's 1970.
5 years, yeah.
5.
So she's 6.
Yeah, she's 6. The art doesn't really do a good job in conveying that she is 6, except the CG art. The CG art does a pretty good job of it, but the main art is just like, I don't know. Looks pretty much the fucking.
I think y'all are wrong. I think it's 7 years.
No,
Okay.
it's 1978.
Yeah, it's 1978. 1978 is when Akasaka investigates the kidnapping of the mayor's child.
I need a timeline, like an actual
I have one.
year timeline.
I
Here.
will say that
I'll post it.
Akasaka does mention it's been 7 years since he saw Oishi, because at the point.
Oh, you're right. It would have been a year. Okay, so it was.
That's what you're thinking of, probably.
But then it would have been 6 years before.
He meets up with him in like 85, I believe, which is just after some of the info has finally been released.
Yeah, it was 85.
So one fun thing about like the unupdated
Okay.
sprites was I was convinced that was a part of the mystery. It was like, oh, why is Rika? This looks the same. Despite it being 5 years.
Yeah.
No.
Yes, I legitimately was thinking the same thing, but then I saw the CG art and realized that she was like really young, and it was like, oh, okay. I think it was just a way to save. And I actually think I pinged the chat, the Discord chat, the Higurashi folks, with whether or not that was like a thing that I should be looking into. And
One of the versions has a smaller sprite for her and Mion.
Yeah, I believe it's the PS2 version didn't have younger sprites for them, but then like later ports did, like PS3 and Switch and whatever had it or something.
Yeah, the version that I was using with the console art does have a younger Mion at the very least.
Yes, it does. Yes,
Like I was gonna say, yeah, there's no redraw of Rika in any of the versions outside of unless you're looking at the anime or the manga. So yeah, they just all decided, no, we're not gonna bother.
Oh,
with
really?
I was actually, the thing that I was quick reading off was based on the Switch version. That absolutely does have younger Rika sprites in it.
Oh,
That's what I was thinking of.
Everyone's here is doing PS2, PS3. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
that makes
yeah,
sense.
with 7th
it-
mod, yeah.
Absolutely has them.
Cool.
I guess 7th mod just didn't grab those from the
And
Switch.
Nope.
I would say here, Himatsubushi has a really weird release history because there was a full year between this one and the previous episode. So obviously you think, oh, why is it the case that there's not much in terms of, different sprites? It's because at the same time he was working on Mayakashi, and that just ends up being a big struggle.
Yeah, this
for
is
him,
a
obviously.
bonus arc.
Yeah, he literally quits in this time period, I believe, from his job.
Okay, so after that, we basically Akasaka finds a tiny little meep, a tiny little meep lady, aka Rika, and Rika basically says, "Hey, what's going on? How are you doing?" And is the cutest fucking child ever, and she is amazing and adorable, and we love her and we stan her. She is amazing.
I love her.
Oh man, she does, and it's amazing because Akasaka kind of has the same reaction that I'm sure a lot of people do, where Akasaka was first like, "What the fuck is going on with this Rika girl? Like, who is this child just sitting in this fucking? What was she in? She was in like a
bus stop.
A bus
yeah,
stop, yeah.
a bus stop, and she's like sleeping, and then she yawns and opens her eyes and sees him, and he immediately was like, "Who is this? This is weird. This is suspicious." And then she yawns and looks at him and goes, I think she says meep. And he immediately goes, "Oh, this fucking kid is adorable as shit. I want her for mine. I want her to be my child." And then immediately starts playing with her and she goes, "Meep, And then Akasaka's like, meep. They just say meep to each other forever. And it's great.
And then Nipa at each other.
Yeah, with the star emoticon. Absolutely confirmed.
Get a Nipa in chat.
Can we get Nipas in chat? We need Nipas and meeps. Come on, y'all. bonus points if you post with the star emoticon, the emoji.
Nice.
Oh, hell yeah. We got him. So yeah, after that, Rika basically joins Akasaka on his tour of Hinamizawa, which Akasaka realizes is a beautiful place, a wonderful place. And then Akasaka does some fucking stupid shit because he's quote-unquote green. He's new to this. He doesn't really know what he's doing, which is weird because he's kind of insinuated to kind of be a prodigy. Did anyone else get that?
Yeah, but
I'm assuming that means he's like good in the academy, but hasn't gotten any actual experience yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
He's also really young. I think they said he was in his like late 20s, so
Yep.
he can't really be more than like 28.
Yeah, and they also allude to it in his Mahjong game where he's just surprisingly very good.
For some reason, yeah, exactly.
Guys.
For some reason, I could have sworn it said that this arc said it that he was 27, but I could be wrong. I think during the Mahjong thing, I think someone mentions that. But anyway, because he was talking about his college days. But anyway, so yeah, what happens is, Rika then, Akasaka starts doing stupid shit. And one of the stupid things he does is basically blabs about how his wife is back home and she's pregnant.
As soon as he said that, I wanted to throttle him. I just wanted to punch him in the face.
I wanted to do one of these. Fucking grab that motherfucker. Just grab him by his...
what I wanted to do.
Like, dude, you just completely blew your spot. So yeah, he's green. He kind of fucked up. Shit happens. So he basically says, like, yeah, my wife's back home. And then both the person that's shepherding him around and Rika kind of look at him like, what the fuck? And I think the older man is like, well, shouldn't you be with your wife? Like, she's having your child. And then Akasaka really quickly is like, her family is there. They're all there. We planned this, and I'm out here, and we're doing it. And the fucking the old man is like, well, if you planned this, then why did you have to schedule a quick run around the town with me? If you planned it, you would have had all of your ducks in a row, right? To which Akasaka replies. To which Akasaka replies by not replying.
He's just like, I'm gonna stop it. I think that was probably the best option was just to stop digging.
Yeah, stop digging the hole. No more unforced errors, please. Please, Akasaka, stop. Just stop. So after that, it basically gets fucking insane, where Rika starts to get possessed, get kinda mean to Akasaka. Starts like saying some real shit. She warns him at a certain point that he needs to go back home. She's like, you can't be here. You are. I think the what she said was like, you were going to regret not going back. To where is he from?
Tokyo.
I was gonna say Tokyo, I was literally like, Tokyo was on, but I just wanted to be sure. I just want to dot my I's, cross my T's. And go ahead.
There is a mention from him that apparently his accent is thick enough that people can guess that.
Yeah, I would be highly surprised that no one kind of figured out his deal as soon as he stepped off that bus. Knowing how close-knit this community is and how everybody just there are no secrets and everybody's really tight knit. I can't imagine he thought he was being slick and he was not. He got called out basically immediately. So
one whiff of this guy and everybody goes, "Oh, that's a Fed."
So people walking by him and being like, "I smell bacon." Anyway, but just oinks in the distance. But yeah, so Akasaka continues his investigation, trying to look for the kidnapped mayor's child. And we get throughout this, we get like little bits and pieces of the child, of the grandson, being mayor's. I shouldn't say mayor's child. I should say mayor's grandson. I will fix that. There we
The
go.
minister's grandson, more
Minister.
to the point.
Minister.
Yeah, it's not the mayor. Minister.
There we go. The minister's grandson. So occasionally we get
I've
like.
got them on the board later, further down.
Sorry. Can someone else?
I've
fix
got
that?
them on the board further down.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I will zoom in. I will make sure to have this GIF also playing, because it's amazing. I'll get a little curry in there. Yeah. There we go. Perfect. Wonderful. Aces. Or you Oreo. God damn it. Fucking nicknames. Is that an official nickname? Don't answer that.
No.
Anyway.
No.
So yeah, basically the grandson, the kidnapped grandson, there's a bunch of really interesting stuff. To cut right to the chase, basically the grandson realizes what's that he's been kidnapped because of his grandfather, and that he realizes that his grandfather would do anything to save him, so he automatically feels guilty and starts thinking about how to get out of this situation. The thing that comes to his mind is to pretend like he's got a sickness, like he's sick or something. He realizes that he had a accident recently, and that if he can play his cards just right, they'll think that he's in serious medical danger and needs a doctor immediately. And so his idea is to tell the doctor, hey, I need help, get me the fuck out of here, to basically get someone on the outside to raise some flags. So it works. He does a perfect job. At one point, he buckles over, clutching his stomach, and the captors are like, there are only 2 captors, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe so.
Okay, cool. At one point, I thought there were 3, but anyway, yeah, there were only 2 when the rest of this story happens. So basically, Irie comes over. And he's like, what's fucking going on? Because the captors noticed that when the kid buckled over, he had a surgery scar. And they were like, oh, fuck. Like, something's going on. And then one of them's like, oh, yeah, I heard that old scars can become inflamed, or injuries can become more problematic depending on stress. And so if this kid's in stress, it might be causing a problem with internal bullshit and damage and stuff. So they need a doctor immediately. So Irie comes over, says, hey, how you doing? Kid says, do I look like I'm okay? With his eyes, not out loud, because the captors are over there. And then Irie is like, what the fuck is going on here? And the captors are like, shut the fuck up. Do your fucking job and get the fuck out of here. So Irie complies, but thankfully, as Irie is doing this, Oishi and Akasaka got a suspicious tip, very suspicious tip, that from a wallet that they found in a donation box, I believe.
Yes.
And that wallet,
Lost and Found.
Lost and Found, right? The wallet from the Lost and Found, which was, if I remember correctly, the kidnapped kid's wallet. Mm-hmm. So that means that the kid is somewhere nearby. So Oishi and Akasaka decide to go out and look. I think Oishi is also skeptical, but I think the first person to mention that this is weird is Akasaka, who's like, this is too convenient. Like, that's really strange that we would just suddenly find proof that the kid's here. Especially in the form of a wallet like this, it's very strange. Especially after he met with oh my god, I totally skipped over the Mahjong stuff. Fuck. Anyway, let's go back in time. Who knew that Akasaka was a Mahjong master? Not me. So it turns out that Oishi has a bunch of informants in the town. And at one point, in order to get information, Akasaka was like, hey, I need, to know who the fuck is, what's going on here. Oishi decides to hook him up, after taking his money, decides to hook Akasaka up with one of his informants. a person who apparently has firsthand experience of what's going on within the three families' meetings. Because the things that this informant is saying are like basically meeting notes from the meeting of the three families. So from that, we learn that where is she? She's on this list. There you are, Oryu. Oryu Sonozaki, who is confirmed old on our chart.
Confirmed old.
Confirmed old. And she is an old, and yeah, she's doing stuff. She's up and about. We get her art for the first time. We see her interacting with a young Mion, and basically it's clear that Oryu is like, in control of everything, but Mion's kind of the what do you call that? The surrogate.
Mouthpiece.
The mouthpiece, yes.
Proxy, voice, avatar.
Proxy is the word I was looking for. But yeah, she's the proxy, and yeah. So during this meeting, a bunch of very interesting stuff happens. First, we get hints, I believe, of Mion's father, who is at this meeting. If I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, but I am pretty damn sure we got voiced lines and a thing that's basically said a title that said Mion's father. And
I believe so.
Yes.
Which is very, very, very interesting to me that we still do not know what the fuck is going on there. Because that is a mystery that I do want to delve into, which is who is Mion and Shion's father and mother. I have suspicions, but yeah, we get some interesting information on that. But the most interesting thing that happens is that basically Oryu, at a certain point, I don't think it was during this meeting, but I think it was a little while after, where Oryu is basically like, yeah, I don't want that grandson kidnapped anymore. I think the kidnapping should stop. Mion hears that and then goes to a phone to call somebody. And then that's right after that is when we find the wallet. So it's very, very interesting how Oryu gives commands, how the power in this situation works. Basically, no one ever specifically says to do things and merely voices ideas, and then people infer commands from that, that's smart, because if you have someone listening in, suddenly it's, you can't pin anything directly on anybody because, I was just thinking out loud. I wasn't giving commands. So very, very, Yakuza-like.
At one point, earlier, or when the kid was still being kidnapped, they told him that they were basically told not to hurt him. But if the Sonozakis told them to, they'd have to do some terrible things.
Yes. Yeah, very, very clear in this episode. If it wasn't brutally obvious before, the Sonozakis are absolutely the Yakuza. They are absolutely like organized crime. And it is also made clear in this episode that Mion and Shion's father basically owns the city of, what was it?
Shishibone.
Shishibone. Yeah, which led me to one of my theories about how Shion was able to fend off the three attackers by calling the help of basically everybody in the town. Before, up until that point, it was basically like insinuated that, everybody is just has each other's backs in this town. But really, there's a part in this arc where it's said that anybody who has the mark of the Sonozaki family, the clan, basically, if they show it, everybody who's nearby must help them, no matter what it is. And so that led me to think that, it's probably the case that when that shit went down, behind Keiichi's back, I said it right.
Good job.
You're welcome. Behind Keiichi's back, Shion whipped out that mark and was like, hey, everybody help. And so everybody came up. I didn't say it originally, but the kids in the anime, there are two small children who come up and start staring at the gang members threateningly.
Nice.
It's very It was like, oh fuck, you got two little cute little kids looking at you like that. What? You get the fuck out of there, man.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Oh shit, you're in trouble.
Another interesting thing I wanted to point out with the meeting is how the Sonozakis are indirectly shaking down the entire town for money.
Yes, absolutely. It's very, very interesting how the Sonozakis are manipulating everybody in non-obvious ways. It's very fascinating to me. And dare I say, realistic.
Yes.
Yeah. But anyway, I digress. So to continue where we left off, basically, Akasaka and Oishi go over to the basically the kidnappers were holding the grandson in a forestry service shed, which what the okay, this is like the fucking second time the forest service are being brought up. How big is the forest service in Japan in this specific like case? Is this like normal? Is this, or should we be?
It's a big forest.
It's a big forest.
No, this is actually pretty dang normal because in this time period and just generally for rural areas, the forestry service would be one of the only things that would maintain a lot of these towns. That's why this school has to go out of the forestry service. It was really good for like log working. It was really good because the rivers and everything would allow it to get led to different regions, and because this was still sort of a really big era for production and industrialization in Japan, like, yeah, this would be the main reason the town is still, part of the reason it still exists.
Also, the town that Hinamizawa is based off of is a UNESCO heritage site, so it would also make sense.
Oh, interesting. Damn.
And I guess from a more naive position that doesn't know as much about Japanese history, I mean, it's drilled into our heads over and over again that Hinamizawa is incredibly rural. So the fact that the Forestry Service has such a presence there is natural because forest is about all there is out there.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, the more you think about this stuff, the more it's just everything is so considered in this sound novel. It's really impressive. Really impressive. So basically, the kid was being held in the Forestry Service shed. Oishi goes up and bangs on the door, and basically the person inside is like, well, yeah, no, give us a sec. Oishi, as soon as the door is unlocked, while the grandson and one of the captors slips out the back, the other guy opens the door, unlocks the door. Immediately, Oishi bashes it open, starts looking around, starts putting things together, and then basically gets into a scuffle with this guy. They get into a little roughhousing, and Oishi gets choked the fuck out. And I must say, highlight of the fucking series so far. Anyway, I zoomed into my face for that one, just so you guys know, because I like it when bad things happen to Oishi. Anyway, because he's a fuck. He's a fuck. Anyway, I will explain myself momentarily. So, the grandson and the captor slip out the back. Immediately, Oishi starts hearing Akasaka give chase. So, right when Oishi is about to lose consciousness, we cut to Akasaka, who is chasing down this captor and the kid. He eventually catches up to them and gets into a tussle, and it's very graphically depicted how this guy... basically, Akasaka grabs a hold of his leg. This captor grabs a rock and starts bashing his Akasaka's head with it, and just fucking visceral, man. It's awful. It's nasty. It's rough. But Akasaka's not letting go. He keeps telling himself, I need to hold on. I need to hold on so that backup can come, because before they went into the shed to check out the shed, Oishi said, hey, if I don't report back in 5 minutes, you send out the cavalry. So, knowing that, he's basically, Akasaka realizes that he just needs to hold on. He just needs to hold out. He just needs to keep these people around. And then the guy pulls out a gun, Which, guys, Akasaka has a gun, right? He has a gun. He's packing, correct?
All right, so I think that this is got to be probably one of the things where it was a cultural thing, because I was thinking the exact same thing constantly the whole time, was just like, you're police officers that carry guns, you have guns. But then I have to remind myself, that's right, gun laws are very different in other countries.
Yeah, I legitimately, in my notes, I have like, Japan, LaMayo. Like, no, if this was America, no, bullets would be flying. Like
Bullets would have been flying.
That kid would be dead, along with everybody else except the cops, who would then stand trial and not get blamed for anything because they were scared. Anyways.
Yeah, something that I believe Oishi mentions early on is that knife violence tends to be the greater fear. So it's like, he's like, oh, I never go anywhere without my, like, knife-proof vest because it's so much more likely to get stabbed.
Yeah,
They even mentioned something about the blade size earlier in either this or previous part, because they have laws about, like, the size of blade on a knife you're allowed to carry with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's also mentioned that Oishi is wearing a knife-proof vest in this specific instance, but this was it's mentioned that he used to wear it all the time, implying that things are like they're not safe, but they're safer than they used to be. It seems to be that it's implied that he has built up a rapport with the town, and he's not as terrified for his life constantly. So that's a plus. Or at least it would be if I didn't see through his fucking ruse. Anyway, which actually, maybe this is when I start talking about my theory, or one of my many theories. But Akasaka defiantly not using his gun, even though he's got a bun pointed at him. A bun. That's what I was going to say. A bun. Language. Anyway, so dude points a gun at him. Akasaka's like, you fire. Everybody's gonna hear that. Everybody's gonna come running. And the kidnapper's like, no, they're not. They're not. No, have you like heard a gun? At which point Akasaka is like, okay, this guy's like, he's hesitating, so this is good. Then from behind, he thinks he hears Oishi. He turns around. It's the other captor who then pulls another gun on Akasaka. And Akasaka's like, haha, you're not going to shoot me. And then gets fucking shot in the shoulder. You won't shoot me. Quote, man who was shot. So immediately he's like, fuck, shit. Oh, God, what am I going to do? And then he sees Oishi behind the other captor. And so Oishi's like clearly looking for an opening. So Akasaka's like, I'm smart. I'm good at Mahjong. I can do this. So he starts being like, okay, I'll surrender. If I just get down on the ground, you can come and get the kid and then you'll go away, right? So what'd they say? It's a promise between men or something like that?
That is what they said. Yep.
It's a promise between men. And the guy's like, it's a promise between men. Yeah, absolutely. And he's like, you're still holding the gun. You put that gun away, you jerk. Otherwise, it's not a man promise. The guy's like, fucking fine. I'll put the gun away and I'll keep your fucking man promise. What is your fucking deal? And then he gets tackled by Oishi, who then grabs he grabs that captor's gun and his own gun, and then it's described that he's holding both guns akimbo, which is like, okay, if I was Team Oishi, this would be like a fucking breakout moment. Like, this is fucking badass. At which point, the captors do something incredible, where they both turn and fucking run. And then Oishi's like, fuck, these guys are good. And Akasaka's like, what do you mean? And Oishi's like, they know that if you're running away from a cop, they won't shoot you because we won't shoot anybody in the back. And so they get away. They just get away. And then Akasaka's like, okay, we win. And then immediately fucking falls on his face. Just completely just drained. Just loses consciousness. He wakes up.
After being bashed in the head with a rock.
Yeah, he's described as wiping his brow because it's wet. It's raining during the scene, I think. If I remember correctly, which is interesting. Anyway,
was it raining?
It's possible because I think he either wipes his brow because of sweat or because it's raining.
Of sweat. I don't think it was raining in this.
Either way, he wipes his head because
It's raining in Bob's soul.
it's always raining in my soul. But yeah, he wipes his brow and realizes that he's completely like his hand is completely covered in blood, and he looks down at his shirt, completely drenched in blood. He is fucked up, y'all. He is fucked up. He's shot. His head's basically like bashed in. If you ever played the Callisto Protocol, it's kind of like that. And then he wakes up in a hospital. In the hospital, he's basically being cared for by Irie, and yeah, everything seems fine. And then he's like, I really need to call my wife because I haven't called my wife in a while. So he excuses himself from Moishi. Leaves his room, goes to the front desk to get on a payphone and call his wife. He picks it up. The cord's been cut. And then he talks to the guy at the front desk and is like, what the fuck? What happened here? And the guy at the front desk is like, I have no idea. What the hell? That's weird. You could use another payphone that's down the way. And so he goes over there. Again, the payphone is cut. What is happening here? So he goes even further to another payphone that's way far away. In the middle, it's described as being in the middle of nowhere, but it's easy to be found because it's like the only payphone in like that in that large area. So it's easy to spot because of the light and stuff. So he goes over there. He tries to call, and he picks up the receiver, and it's been bashed. It's been like completely flayed and just can't use it. He turns around. Who does he see? Who does he see? Whoa!
Rika.
Whoa! Oh!
Jump scare.
Oh, jump scare Rika. Oh, Rika, what are you doing? It's Rika. Hi, Rika. How you doing? Rika is, by the way, I didn't mention it up until now, but Rika has been possessed a couple times. And when she is quote unquote possessed, her voice completely changes. Her voice becomes definitively older. Like it's very weird and creepy, and it's done very well.
It's like her voice actor started using her normal voice instead of her child voice.
What are you talking about?
I think that's
voice
actually
actor?
exactly what it is.
I know.
Voice
So
actor?
does her voice actor just sound like that normally by default?
I mean,
like
maybe
they're
there's
just
still
normal
a bit of a
speaking voice?
performance.
Because like
The next thing you're gonna tell me is that Higurashi isn't real, and this isn't a documentary.
no, I'm just like
I'm so sorry, Bob.
I'm just thinking about the voice and being, impressed, I guess. I don't know.
Higurashi happened. It's real.
Yes, exactly. And yeah,
Yeah,
no, I
nobody
totally get that. You come across a really talented voice actor. They like a lot of the time, from what I've seen in like documentaries and working with a few, you will be surprised that their normal like talking voice is like wildly different from like the various characters that they do. It's fucking crazy. Anyway, but yeah, Rika. Hi, Rika. How you doing? You doing good? Meep. Meep. Anybody? Meep anybody? Me. So yeah, she's there, and then basically Akasaka's like, did you fucking cut all the phones in this area? And she's like, I don't know what you're fucking talking about, dude. You're fucking weird. Anyway, you want to come party with me? So, and remember, Akasaka just left the hospital. He's got a full head bandage around his head. He's wearing slippers, and I think he ass all out.
He is in a hospital gown. I don't think his ass. I think he's in underwear. I don't think he would go out with his ass out.
If he's in a hospital gown, he ass all out.
That much.
He loves his wife that much.
He loves his wife that much that he's willing to have he ass all out.
But not willing to use just the regular telephone in the hospital.
Ultimate wife guy.
Ultimate wife guy. They're perfect. And then I put this right here. There we go. He ass all out. So what happens is that guess what day it is, y'all? Guess what day it is? It's Watanagashi Day. Oh, fun. Wee. But it's not really that big of a deal. It's just everybody, just a bunch of old people milling around. and getting drunk. It's just a bunch of drunk old guys. So,
Fuck ass suck.
but he wanders around, and Rika brings him to the overlook for the area, and just like she did before, and starts talking to him, basically being like, "Hey, FYI, here's what's going to happen for the next few years. First off, I'm going to die." And basically, it's where this timeline comes from. This is almost exactly what she says. The foreman of the Hinamizawa project will be killed, and his body will be dealt with in a despicable way or something along those lines next year. And so this is 1978 when Akasaka and Rika are talking to each other. And then she says, then the next year, Satoko's parents will be pushed off an observation platform to their deaths. And then my parents will be killed. And then Satoko's aunt will be beaten to death, will be killed. I don't think she specifically says beaten to death with a baseball bat. And then I will die. So.
It's basically the SNL Dear Sister letter.
Yes, exactly. I was going to say, did you notice the other thing?
Meep what you say. Did I see the other thing about them?
The other thing about their conversation was he asked who would do all of that, and Rika's answer is, "That's what I want to know."
Oh, I didn't catch that. Well, I know who did it. I know. I didn't want to spoil things for the chat, but I think I figured out everything. FYI.
Yeah, you solved Higurashi.
I did. I solved Higurashi, and you will be entertained to know who done it. Even the people who know what's happening will be surprised to find out that actually they were wrong, and I know what happened because I am halfway through and I have a solid theory. Aren't you? I'm going to talk to Ryukishi07 and be like, dude, I got it. I figured it out. And he's going to be like, hell yeah. You are the only person who figured it out. You get a piece of caramel. I want a piece of caramel from Ryukishi. Holy shit.
Gum.
What's that?
Or gum.
Or gum.
Which box did you choose?
I chose the red one.
Gum gang.
I chose the blue one. I actually didn't know that. So I actually thought it wasn't in the spirit to go back and change my choice.
I didn't
to see the other one. So I got a piece of gum.
Okay.
For reference, there's a tip where you're given the one choice in all of Higurashi, and it's whether you want to open a red box or a blue box.
And because I happen to be a cheating bastard, I immediately went back and opened the other box. I went blue first, for the record.
Tisk.
And the important thing to note is that the text will change to acknowledge that you know both boxes if you open the second box.
Interesting.
It will narrate somewhat differently and acknowledge that you, the reader, know these things, and that are the choices really that important when you see what the choices are?
It's funny because when you first open whatever box, I don't know about the blue box. I'm assuming it's the same with the red box. But the red box, when I opened the red box, basically the narration was like, "Hey, yeah, I guess you kind of suck at this, and you chose the wrong option, unless the blue box didn't have anything in it." I wonder if that's the case, because if it was, that means you won, that you got the best of both outcomes. Interesting. Anyway, goodbye.
Sorting their stat, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It's so funny because I remember saying at a certain point that it would be interesting to see what Ryukishi would do with like multiple choice paths in this. And in Arc 4, that tip is basically Ryukishi07 saying, "Nah, fuck all that."
It's mentioned in the all cast review as well. He's like, everyone thinks it's weird that I didn't have choices. So this is more like a movie or something.
Yeah. And actually, it's really cool because I don't know if I'm calling a lot of this stuff, and I don't mean to. And that is one of the things that I called. I remember talking to you guys at a certain point and being like, yeah, it's like a game in and of itself. Like, even without the choice paths and stuff, the game is like figuring out what's going on. It's playing with the answers to theories and coming up with your own theories and talking to people about them. And then Ryukishi's then Ryukishi at the end of the all cast review says essentially exactly that.
I mean, remember when you were like literally saying everything that Keiichi was either saying or doing in the first arc? Like,
I'm still kind of freaked out about the familiar ceiling thing. Like, I'm used to calling out I can go with like, oh, I called like this thing that like this overarching like theme or something that happened, but to call it out word for fucking word was scary. I was like, well, oh, it's like the time when we were streaming Doki Doki Literature Club, and then someone was talking about where the sidewalk ends, and the person who wrote that, and then suddenly the game is like, oh yeah, it's just like this where the sidewalk ends. And everybody in the chat was just like, what the fuck? That's fucking crazy. Anyway, so yeah, to continue, basically, it's really sad what happens after that, because then we get a time jump. Akasaka is coming back, going somewhere. I don't know where, or is Oishi coming to him? I couldn't really tell.
No, he's going to Oishi's.
Yeah, and where is Oishi?
Hokkaido.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
he's retired at that point.
Right.
Did he go to Sapporo?
I could have sworn I remembered a certain person looking excitedly at Hokkaido, but I could be mistaken.
Sapporo is in Hokkaido.
Ah, well, there we have it.
Okay. So
Florida.
Florida, yeah, they're all meeting. Of course, Oishi went to fucking Florida. God damn it. Anyway, so Akasaka arrives, and at first I'm like, oh, where's his wife? Oh,
Yeah.
oh. Yeah. So he arrives, says hi to Oishi, and introduces his adorable daughter, whose name escapes me.
Miyuki.
Miyuki. Meep. Miyuki is adorable and is scared of Oishi, which, hey, total.
Don't blame her.
Same. Do not want to be left alone with that man. He will either give you porn or kill you. Anyway, it's revealed that the night that Akasaka thinks that Rika cut all of the phones. That's his theory. He's very adamant about that. And that night that he thinks that Rika went around the entire town cutting fucking phone
Hold on, I'm
lines.
gonna post something in the Higurashi book club chat.
Okay. But yeah. So essentially what happens is Akasaka reveals that night is when his wife fell down some stairs and died. And I'm guessing Miyuki was delivered post-mortem, or like during. I'm not entirely sure how
That
that.
has to be my guess, is that she was delivered post-mortem, because we don't really get
Yeah,
to
my personal understanding of it is that they were trying to save both of them, but realized they could only save Miyuki.
Yeah, that's kind of what the fuck is. It doesn't cut. It does. That's right.
Just trying to use a crab to cut
Yeah,
the
she's using a
phone
little
cord.
crab. It's a cute thing from the manga, just a cute little
It's-
omake bit. She can't
yeah.
cut it.
What is that? Is that headphones? What is that?
It's a
It's a
crab.
phone cable.
Phone Oh, yes. Okay. That makes. Okay. Now I get it, because it's a phone. I couldn't really tell what the hell that was. It looked like a head with like earphones on it or something. Anyways, confirmed that Rika did not use a crab to cut the phone lines. So
Are
yeah.
you sure?
Fuck. I'm not sure about anything. So yeah, it's really fucking sad. And so Oishi and Akasaka go drinking. And when they're drinking, basically it's revealed that Arc 4 is a continuation of Arc 3, or it is both a preface and a, what is the opposite of preface? Antiphus? It is both a pre-mortem and a post-mortem. Why is this
So
tickling me so much? It is both taking place before and after the events of Arc 3, because at this point, after the time jump, it is, God, what is it, like 1987 or something? It's like years.
85, I believe.
85, okay. So it's a few years after they reference the ending of Arc 3, Tottori Higurashi, and the volcanic gas that happens. What is Axel 21K? What the?
Spam?
It's spam. Yeah.
All right,
I see Apex Legends in there, which is not related to anything, so spam, yeah.
How are you sure it's not related to anything?
Oh,
That's
man.
actually a really big spoiler for Arc 7.
Oh shit! Everybody plays Fortnite and gets V-Bucks. All right, well, sorry, buddy. Goodbye. Catch you later. Anyway, blocked.
I recorded it.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. I need to mod all you guys, FYI. Anyways,
Woo!
if you want. But yeah, so yeah, Akasaka realizes in that moment that when Rika was telling him about all of the shit that was happening, the timeline of events, basically, Akasaka realized in that moment, oh fuck, she's right about everything. She was trying to get me to help her. And I was too green, I was too stupid to realize that she was trying to get me to help her. And so he has he breaks down. And Oishi suddenly becomes a real one and starts, like, Oishi says something very important here, and it is that something was revealed to you that is extremely important to solving this case. And we will find out what it is, and we will get to the bottom of it. So they both work together on a book called Higurashi When They Cry.
Yep.
That tries to solve the mystery of what happened in the town, using Oishi's history with the town and Akasaka's investigative skills and knowledge of what Rika told him.
So this is the part where I'll mention that I did actually tear up. I did actually cry some cries. I was the one that cried. I was the they that cried.
Was it when what was her name? The little girl Miyuki was like, yeah, oh, so fucking adorable. Miyuki comes up to Akasaka, who's crying because he realized he could have done something to save Rika, and she's like, "What's wrong? What's wrong? Did you have a nightmare again?" And I'm like, "Oh fuck." Oh, my fucking heart. Shit. Oh, I'm dead.
What made me cry
I just want to also, I just want to point out the thing that they say specifically about please solve this mystery. I believe it's almost, if not the exact same text, then almost the same text that was on the note earlier.
Yes, I can confirm that.
Yeah.
Keiichi says almost exactly the same thing in his note at the end of Arc 1.
Yes. It definitely was like, oh, I've seen this before. This has definitely happened before. And another thing that I want to talk to you guys about is, can we start assembling all of the mid-chapter, like, quotes that we're seeing? I'd love to get like a consolidation of all that stuff just to go through it, because I feel like that stuff's vital. I feel like that stuff's incredibly vital to figuring this mystery
The
out.
poems by Baron Castell, because Gail had those.
Not the poems. Are they the poems? Before the final chapter, they're in Arc 4.
I was gonna say, do you mean like the things that appear when it's sort of like swapping from sort of like the normal day to like the tragedy, like in Arc 3,
yes.
the point where
yes.
they realized Toko's being those are pretty. I'll collect those. I can find them easily.
We could probably
Awesome,
also have
thank
a box for the poems just in case.
Yeah,
sure. And we could do that. If it's too much of a pain in the ass, don't worry about it, because I've got some like major stuff to like drop on you all. But other than that, like I feel like that will be really, really helpful if we're seriously trying to figure this mystery out. But so we can go around the horn and just talk about how we felt about Arc 4.
Did you mention that after everything came true, also then that's when like the disaster happened, and then we kind of the same thing that happened at the end of Totoro Goroshi happened at the end of
Himatsubushi. Yes.
So
Yeah, I mentioned
gas,
that. That
the
was
gas
like
killed him. Okay.
yes, because that's what I was saying with like the preface and antiface bullshit that I was droning on about.
Yeah.
Is that Himatsubushi is like both happening before and after Chapter 3, Arc 3 to Higurashi.
Yeah.
So it's very important to note that because, I don't know, I really like this theory, and if honestly it's not in Higurashi, then I might steal it for my own bullshit. But one of the theories that we might want to write down in the theory list is single timeline theory, which is that the events of Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3, and Chapter 4 all take place within the same timeline. Something might be happening at the end of Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 that is causing people to maybe infer or see things that aren't exactly happening. And the reason why I say I like single timeline theory is because I cannot figure out, other than spiritual or supernatural things, why at certain points, especially I believe in Arc 3 to Higurashi, Keiichi, sorry, almost fucked up. It's the Diablo thing for me again, fuck. Anyway, Keiichi specifically says, "Oh, that's Oishi. Wait, how do I know that fucker's name? I've never met this man. We've only seen each other sometimes around town. How did I know his name?" That is a solve. That is single timeline would answer that bullshit, because it's basically a buried memory of the things that are happening, and the longer they go about this, the more those memories are going to come up, and they're going to remember more shit. So that's one of my fucking nonsense theories I'll just throw out there. But we could also go through what we thought of Chapter 4 if we want to do that. Does that sound fun?
That'd be fun. If everyone wants to go by one, if 25 wants to start.
I was actually thinking we could flip it and have Jan start, and then we'll go up the list.
Yeah, you right. That's great.
Yeah, I want to mix it up. Jan, you ready?
Okay, sure.
What'd you think about Arc 4 Himatsubushi?
Okay, well, I think personally it's possibly my least favorite of the first four, not because there isn't interesting enough things happening, but I just don't care as much about Akasaka compared to the others. Do you like Reina right there?
Yes.
I don't care as much about him. I don't know if it's because he's a cop or just because he's not cagey or whatever, but I don't know. It just doesn't catch me as much. It was like a little bit harder to stay with it. But the stuff with the dam conflict is genuinely interesting. I just also love the, definitely got the communism undertones there. Definitely got, a cab. I do think it's interesting. I don't think that Akasaka is a bad character. I think it is interesting to show like kind of the mindset of maybe the more average person at the time, especially talking about the student protests earlier in the century of like, well, I never did any of it. I personally, he's saying this in the middle of the town to the people he knows must be the anti-dam
I gotta
force.
say, that was another point where I just wanted to, that Rika gif again, just wanted to be like, shut up.
Yeah. He's like just saying this to their face. I think you should just vote better, actually. And then maybe your vote shouldn't have to be destroyed. Or something like that.
That was so fucking stupid.
I think he's just meant to be kind of reflect the general mindset of the time, not like condoning it, but just showing it of like, this is what most people kind of thought because they were just told that and they just kind of accepted it because you don't want to cause trouble. You don't want to be the nail that sticks up because then you'll get hammered down. It's that kind of society.
Yeah. Don't rock the boat is the common idiom.
And I believe Gail mentioned this with the political context, and Gail can definitely get more into it. But there was definitely this sense of civic pride of like, you should be serving your country by allowing them to do this, and the kindness that they'll give you by compensating you. So I think there's a lot of interesting stuff happening there, showing the background of the village, of why everyone's like that, how Watanagashi was different. There's some interesting stuff happening there. And I think it's fine that Ryukishi, he wanted to go for a different approach just for his own sake of wanting to write something different. I think that's neat. That's fine. It just didn't catch me quite as much.
agree. Actually, that's one of the things that I wanted to mention earlier is that there was that mention of how... Sorry, I'm trying to play tic-tac-toe. Damn it.
Stop that.
I can't find a freaking... I need a circle. Anyway, someone else play tic-tac-toe in my stead. I can't do two things at once. I'm notoriously terrible at doing two things at once. Anyway.
It's under the elements.
Yeah, I was using that as an excuse to not focus or to not get into tic-tac-toe while I'm talking. Yeah, that was actually really interesting because at a certain point, I believe, was it in a tip? Where I think it was, I don't know who the narrator is supposed to be. I'm guessing it's just Ryukishi. I guess in that way, it's just like, we're just going with the flow, and whoever this nebulous narrator is, it's just Ryukishi. So in the tip, Ryukishi is basically like talking about, a fire on the opposite shore. This idea that if your neighbor's house was on fire, you would help them because potentially your house could catch on fire. So in that way, proximity promotes like empathy in that way, but it's not... I have something to say about that, but I'll keep going. Because the general vibe of it was, if you wouldn't feel the same way about a person's house on fire on the opposite shore, you don't really care about them as much because, as Ryukishi put it in that tip, that fire doesn't have any chance of spreading to your house because you have an ocean between you. So why would you care? So it's promoting sort of a naturalistic sort of sense of nationalism, I guess.
I want to pose the question to you. Do you think those tips were Ryukishi talking directly to you, or do you think it was from a character's point of view?
Well, that's the thing. Like, I don't think we know. Also, hi, it is what it is, 19. I fucking love your name.
I was going to say, I'm almost and this is, not coming from a point of spoilers or anything like that, but I feel like all of those tips were Rika.
Interesting. I guess that would make sense with her, her alternate kind of state of mind or something.
Well, also because she seems to be like a fortune teller. So when, we go into talking about...
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you saying Rika or were you saying Rena?
I said Rika.
Oh, for some reason I heard Rena. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Rika, yeah. She definitely takes on kind of that fortune teller, like exactly what you were saying, like aspect in multiple times in this chapter. But here's the thing about that. I think that is, that form of Rika is not Rika. I think that, much like I said before, this is probably when we need to really put this down, because this is one of my favorite theories. I wholeheartedly believe this theory. It is, every single chapter has proven me to be true. I believe in everybody's high theory. I believe...
That's the plot of one of the Professor Layton games.
I'm
not joking. That actually is the plot.
It's real.
Oh, shit.
It's legitimately one of my favorite twists of any game ever, is that in Professor Layton, everybody was high.
There's a different Hinamizawa under itself in every new art.
Yes.
That's another Professor Layton.
Yeah.
I think that was
also everybody was robots. I'm sorry, I'm spoiling all the
Professor everybody
Layton
was
games.
Oh, you guys are gonna spoil my upcoming game, Everybody's Projections. It's the same story over and over. But anyway, that's my kind of feeling. I'm really 420 theory. Yes, perfect, exactly. Everybody's drugged. Like, to be serious for a moment, I seriously think, and there is a lot of evidence to back this up, I seriously think that something is going on with like the air or something. Maybe, possibly even the cicadas doesn't really make any fucking sense. But the cicada theory would be like the chirping is like kind of driving everybody nuts. But no, there is definitely across every single arc, there is someone or multiple people who have been shown to have these kinds of eyes. People's eyes have changed and gotten all fucked up. And I think that paranoia plays a major role in every single arc.
There is infrasound. There's like certain wavelengths of sound where if you hear it, it makes you feel anxious and you can't quite hear it audibly. So, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, you do. You're fucking with me. I'm sticking to 420 theory. Anyway, that was what we call a sussy theory. That's a very sussy theory. You're very sus. You're throwing a wrench in the works. I can feel it. I threw out the cicadas are driving everybody crazy, and you're like, oh yeah, why don't we go down that rabbit hole? Let's go down that rabbit hole. Let's misdirect Bob. No, absolutely not. I'm not falling for that red herring.
We want to go up the list again. Sorry, I think we got sidetracked.
But yeah, so for me,
Turin would be next.
what's that? Oh,
If
my
we're going
bad.
up the list,
Oh, I'm so
Turin.
sorry. I'm so sorry.
Turin's turn.
Yeah, we
Turin.
totally got turned around. My bad. Turin, what did you think of Arc 4?
Hello, yes. So I agree with a lot of things that Jan said. I mean, it makes sense that this is sort of a less intense chapter just because it's so much shorter. I'm actually a little bit more curious, though, Bob, about your theory, because in chapter 4, we get Rika predicting a lot of events that occur in the previous 3 chapters. So how do you square that with your single timeline theory?
In the previous timelines, we get what happens? Rika?
Sorry. Am I super quiet?
No. You sound good. I was just playing tic-tac-toe. I'm sorry. I realize I'm doing what I do during work meetings, and I get distracted very, very easily.
I think
that's
they're
dangerous.
asking, like, how do you explain away Rika's ability to predict everything?
Right. So I saw this as a
Oh.
confirmation of supernatural elements, but I think you're trying to explain everything with people, and you have this single timeline theory with massive government conspiracies. So how do you square that circle?
Okay. Do we want to get into this, or
Yeah.
because I will get into this. I'm threatening you. I am threatening everybody in this chat. I will get into this shit.
I'm so excited.
But I think we need to go through everybody and just kind of get their general
Yeah,
vibe
and, like,
for.
take a note of it.
Yeah, I will make an. Yeah, I'm absolutely making a note of it. Here, I'll write the note right now. Go on insane rant and bore everybody to death in 15 minutes. Okay.
This is the shit I love the most. What are you talking about, boring?
Oh man. All right. Maybe I'm being rude, but anyway. But Turin, I will absolutely get to your point. I do have solutions for that, and I am very. I will pat myself on the back. And if they are not proven true, that is totally fine. But I am going to use them for my story, for my visual novel when I make one. But what did you think, Turin, about this general arc? You mentioned that you beat this. You beat all of Higurashi relatively recently. When you played Arc 4 Himatsubushi, how did like the final question arc? How did that make you feel? Like, do you feel like you have more questions than answers? Do you feel like you kind of knew where things were going?
So let me caveat here. I wish I had known to play this the way that you're playing this, which is to have the to have the Pepe Sylvia corkboard, to keep track of all this, to literally write notes down. I went into this super blind. So I just started reading. I didn't even install the 7th mod. I just went through the whole thing.
Oh, shit.
Basically back to back. So I got no voice acting, anything, just like a book.
The voice acting's so good, though. But continue, sorry.
Yeah. It is interesting, as a side note. The voice acting is really good. It changes how you interpret some of the things, because if you just read it, you're going off of the voices in your head, right? Your internal monologue.
Yep.
So having voice actors do scenes locks in how you perceive those scenes. So it's things are definitely more nebulous if you don't have the voice acting, but the voice acting is amazing. So it's nice to rewatch and get the voice acting and be like, this is great. But to answer your question, I mean, at this point, I was very confused. I took it as a confirmation that there was supernatural elements going on, because I was thinking, well, she's predicting the future, so this is not a matter of like knowing things, or planning things out necessarily. This is like, 6 years. How would she even know who Keiichi is? There's things that she couldn't possibly have, big brain conspiracy planned out, at least that I could figure out. So I kind of started looking at it as, okay, well, how much of it is managed by supernatural elements and how much of it is people? I also did like how, because I think up to this point, there's not that many characters in this. There's really just Akasaka, Oishi, Rika. I don't know if you touched on this, but one of the people they were playing Mahjong with was the dam foreman.
That was an oh shit moment. Like when they revealed, because the music also drops out when that happens. And it's like, oh, holy shit. It was such a good, like, creepy fucking moment. And yeah, no, I am, I was, that definitely got me. Like when that happened, it was definitely, I think I said out loud, oh fuck. Anyway.
That was great. But then it starts to give you a little bit of insight too into maybe partially why Oishi is so invested in this stuff, because he was friends with that guy. So you're like, okay, this is starting to explain why he's, the way he is. I see.
Sorry.
I like the ACAB circled here.
Triple circled.
Yeah, we're going to get more circles going on.
I'm also sad that everyone who plays Mahjong is either a cop or a terrible, terrible person.
Do you play Mahjong?
Mahjong gets a bad rap. Yeah, I do. I love it.
Oh, you do?
I've played Mahjong and I do like it, but I should play more of it.
I heard some of my friends got into it and then they immediately got out because they were like, my brain hurts. I can't do this anymore. Also, it's part of one of my. I love Andrew Bird. Andrew Bird is an amazing musician, and one of his songs goes, one of the lyrics of his songs is like, I can't play Mahjong, I just can't remember which way the east wind blows. So every time I hear that, I'm like, and then at the end of this, it's like, should I get into Mahjong? Fuck, it sounds fun.
Mahjong hey, Bob, guess what? Oh. There's a very good Mahjong simulator on a little-known game called Final Fantasy XIV.
Oh my god. You're kidding me.
No, I'm not. I'm actually 100% serious.
So World of Warcraft has Pokemon, and fucking Final Fantasy XIV has Mahjong.
Yes.
It's also in the Yakuza series.
Oh yeah, it's also in the Yakuza series. Another reason to play Yakuza.
Yeah, well, Yakuza has like everything in it, doesn't it? It has like fucking Dance Dance Revolution. It has
Shenko.
Yeah, it's got the disco.
It has legit other games in it.
It has a shogi. But yeah, I would definitely if you want to get into Mahjong, I would do it with a software program or wherever that like
teaches
automates a lot of the thinking and such.
Yeah, I would love to have that's kind of what I would, whenever I get into anything new like that, I try to, unless it's like a story like Higurashi, I like to do a lot of research on it and see what games to play. Like I was thinking about getting into chess a little while ago, and there were a bunch of games that actually that are chess sims, but also they teach you, like it's like a tutorial for chess, like a huge, like all these different strategies and teaching you how to think in terms of chess. And I was hoping that something like that existed for Mahjong, and if there is something like that, then I would absolutely check that out. But anyway,
Mahjong Soul is that actually.
Oh, cool. What's it called?
Mahjong Soul.
Mahjong Soul. I will write that down. I'm gonna become like my boy Akasaka, since both our names are palindromes.
Ryukishi is a shill for big Mahjong.
All right. Thank you, Turin. I will answer your question momentarily. But Talsriel, a fellow Higurashi first-time enjoyer, what did you think of Arc 4?
I liked it. I definitely, I think I got as much or more out of the tips for Arc 4 as I did from the main story. Since the main story was as disconnected from the arc 1 to 3 stuff, but the tips got a lot more into Rika's mindset, which then we can plug back into arcs 1 to 3 and the rest of the core plot in 1983. So hearing the stuff about how she wants change, she wants to break out of fate, all of that stuff is very interesting to hear about Rika's mindset.
You like those guys, Bob?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm listening. Talsreal, I really am. It's just, I'm catching all the little jokes that you guys put in here, and I'm tickled. You guys are tickling me live on stream.
No, I'm just trying to compile any more impression stuff as opposed to theory crafting stuff.
Yeah, it definitely seems like, with the last of the question arcs, it's kind of, it's the time to do it, because I don't know. Hey, let me ask you a question, Talsreal, real quick. How much of this information that we're gaining in this chapter do you feel is misinformation or redirections or red herrings versus like actual usable information that we can use to figure out everything that's going on?
Well, that's a slightly unfair question to ask me because, as you know, I am Team Supernatural is real and valid. So,
which I appreciate.
As far as Rika prophesying things, that does fit into my standing theory. So if you're, as you've established, you're leaning harder on humanity only, so you're seeing more misdirection than I am.
Yeah, I wouldn't say humanity only. I would say natural, like natural, non-supernatural. Yes. Like, yeah, I'm down with like people getting drugged out of their fucking minds inadvertently, like potentially, someone fucking lit a spliff and accidentally hotboxed the entirety of Hinamizawa. And now everybody's just fucking paranoid as shit. Like that's that's my thing, I the more that we go through this, if it turns out that, single timeline theory is actually kind of important to me, because if it turns out that chapter 1, chapter 2, and then chapter 3 and 4 are different timelines, that means that means one of two things. One, spiritual forces are at play that are causing the characters to rewind in time and go back through things, which, to be honest, I'd be cool with, because I want the best for these characters. I really enjoy them, and I hate to think that they all died from fucking farts. And that's the bad end. That's bad plus end. The other explanation would be that Ryukishi is trying to say something about the nature of video games, which that would play with kind of where I'm going with things, with the sort of mysteries and stuff. That feels better to me, especially as a sound novel, that we've already gotten some commentary on the nature of choose your own adventure video games and how they're kind of like not what he's going for, I guess. Like, I could see that Ryukishi would be like, okay, chapter 1 is like a playthrough of this game where you basically fuck up every option and the worst events happen. You get the bad rolls, everything goes to shit, and then you claw your own throat out in a fucking phone booth in the middle of nowhere. That's kind of, yeah, that was a bad end. But then layering that with other quote unquote playthroughs, so that way you can follow that through and try to figure out, like, okay, what's different about this? What's the same about these other arcs? What information remains the same and all that stuff, which has happened before. But I also kind of think that might be a misdirection. I feel like chapter 4 has a lot of misdirection. But anyway, that's me. I'll shut the fuck up.
I think there are things that are misdirection, and in fact, just one of the smaller morsels is, I think that some of the Mion in this chapter may actually have been Shion by way of her actions and her attitude.
She definitely felt more like Shion, but at the same time, like there are people who are like, no, Mion was sent off, or Shion was sent off. I don't know. We don't really know what she was like as a kid, and maybe she changed. I also think it might be suspect that Shion's not here at all. Maybe, I don't know. They talked about doppelgangers in the previous chapter. Is that something that we should be keeping an eye on? Because also, Keiichi and Satoshi seem to be very, very similar. As said in chapter 1, they do the exact same things.
So yeah, I think we're starting to drift into real theory crafting things.
Sorry,
we should
my
probably
bad.
cycle back to the rest of the list and then go back into theory crafting in earnest.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so let's keep moving ahead. Staghorn, what did you think of Arc for Himatsubushi?
Well, it's been forever since I've, read it. I didn't, catch up with the VN, although I definitely plan on doing that for the next arc.
Mm-hmm.
But
when we start getting some answers.
Yeah. But honestly, like, as for what I was thinking about as this discussion was going on, it was mostly just kind of getting lost in my own head, thinking about, like the alternate universe Higurashi fan stuff I'm working on and whatnot. So, nothing really pertinent to add.
Okay. Want to move on to Meowtroid?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Meowtroid, what did you think?
So I actually really, really liked this arc a lot. Like, I think
I did too.
that I actually really enjoyed Akasaka as a character a lot. I mean, I know ACAB and everything like that. It was like, and actually, I feel like I ended up doing a lot more. It was really funny to me how much in chapter 3 I was like, fuck you, Oishi, I fucking hate your guts, you're a fucking awful person. And then in this chapter, I was like, aw, Oishi, you're kind of cool, actually. And then I was like, what am I saying? He's a shit.
I did the same shit. Especially toward...
Yeah, the recontextualization, the seeing him from like a different point of view. I really like that he was becoming like a professional ballroom dancer, that he ended up like, he was like going into teaching ballroom dancing as a hobby in his later age after he's retired and stuff. So I really liked the recharacterization of Oishi a lot, and
don't believe his lies.
But I think that the thing about this arc that I think was my favorite was that I think this started to show the first hints of the stuff that I was spoiled on. But I didn't get it doesn't like come out and say like the stuff that I was spoiled on. It just is the first hints of like, oh, this is the stuff that I know about the series.
I think I know what you're talking about, and it's one of my theories.
It's probably not.
You don't know that. All right, keep going.
It'll be quite funny though. But that said, there was so much that. What's funny to me was that the things that I did know that were spoiled for me were pretty. Like, they were told to me vaguely. Like, they were told to me as like a oh yeah, and this is a thing that is in the series. This is a plot point. But what I didn't know was like the specifics behind it. For instance, like I was like, so I got some more of the specifics that I wasn't told before. I love the. Are you making his bald head shiny?
Yes.
His bald head really shocked me. I didn't expect his hair to look like that.
Yeah,
honestly.
I didn't either.
That really got to me. I also love his little cowboy. His little cowboy.
Yeah, what is that called?
Bolo tie.
Bolo. Yeah,
tie,
I knew it began with a B.
Yeah, I liked the vague spoilers, and I liked getting that. So, if anything, I think it really set my theory crafting off like on a wild tangent. I think Kat can attest to this because I was reading it and like was just like basically live tweeting, but just at Kat the entire time.
I want to live tweet this so fucking much. But I know that would be terrible for the people who are like getting into it, and I potentially risk spoiling new people. So I'm not doing that unless maybe y'all want to see me do that in like a private like chat or something, or maybe I make the thread private.
Make a Discord channel on your server to throw those in
specifically for me, because there have been moments where I just wanted to screen cap like what the fuck was going on and just fucking laugh. Oh god damn it!
I did that multiple times at Kat specifically. So
and I also did the same thing of just randomly using the shrug and thinking emoji.
Yeah, Kat constantly kept doing the shrug emoji at me, just like,
I feel like I need to make that like an official emote on my channel now, because that's just I want to do a thinking emoji, thinking about thinking emoji, thinking about thinking emoji, like thinking emojis all the way down. Also, who did fucking emoji. Satoko's parents on this fucking list? Who fucking did that?
I did it.
I know, right?
God, it's like fucking Toons is the driving cat like screenshots over here. Anyway, all right.
Oh, but yeah, the part that made me cry very specifically was not necessarily when Miyuki came up, but when Rika, like the ghost of Rika, showed up in the CG and was like, "It's okay, I don't blame you." That's when I cried. That's when I was like, "Rika."
I knew. I knew. For me, that was like, yeah, that was the cherry on the top. But the real, for me, it was just, just her, like him desperately wanting. You remember? See, that's an interesting thing, because if you were going the spiritual, like supernatural route, Akasaka's wish was granted. Like when he wished for a girl just like Rika, that is his daughter. Like, and they're so similar you could fade them on top of each other, like the anime intro, which I listen to every time. Holy shit, these anime intros for these fucking arcs are so good. Anyway, but yeah, all right, cool. Yeah, oh god. Oh man, her coming up and seeing her dad cry and immediately getting like worried and being like, "Are you okay? Like, did you have a bad dream?" And I'm like, "Fuck no, oh, you're precious, fuck, shit." Anyway, do you have anything else to say?
No, I think it's pretty good that me and bless you.
I didn't know if that would be picked up.
Weirdly enough, just the chew part was the thing that all I heard was you go chew.
Oops, I find it funny that me and Kat are back to back, because I was the one that was gushing at Kat the whole time, just about all of my theories. All of my Pepe Sylvia was going directly at Kat.
Well, Kat's the master manipulator. Kat's the gaslighter of the crew, I feel like.
Yeah, definitely.
Gaslighter Supreme. All right, Gaslighter Supreme. What did you think? How do you want to gaslight us about this fucking arc?
So in regards to this arc, I quite liked it. Specifically, what I liked was getting out of Keiichi's head. I like Keiichi.
Yes.
He's a good boy. I like leaving his head.
Yeah.
And Akasaka is just the most wife guy to imagine. Also, I did like him, even though he was a cop. As opposed to like just the general goings on of, I think this arc works really well as just like a small tragic story, especially with Akasaka and his wife dying at the end. I thought that was what a gut punch that finding that out.
That was immediately when he got off the train and like his wife wasn't there, but his kid was, and I was like, oh no, what fucking happened? What horrible shit befell this family?
And specifically, it was like, oh, she went to the roof because she was just thinking about Akasaka, or if Akasaka was there, he would have just talked to her, and she would have never gone up there. I was like, that is so heartbreakingly tragic.
Yeah.
As opposed to like my general like perception at the time, I was convinced that because, I believe the time loops were happening.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, I was like, okay, it has to be spiritual. So I was like, okay, it's spiritual, time loops are happening, and Rika is just somehow aware of these time loops, or is the only one available who's aware of them.
That I like that theory. And to be honest, like that's the one I'm excited for. Because if that's true, I mean, it's Groundhog Day, but the main character is a child. Like, how the fuck does a child? Like, you're just a little kid. Like, how do you figure out what the fuck is going on? It feels like if you were in that situation, mentally you would age while your body like remains the same, and things would get really weird. Which totally jives with how Rika definitely seems like she's mentally more mature than she like should be, I guess. In that situation, she seems more like she knows what the fuck is going on and is understanding of what's happening around her, to the point where maybe she's putting on a face. I won't get into it. Anyway, that's part of my other theory.
Especially her like line about breaking fate. I was like, oh, yeah, that really reveals a lot. So yeah, that was the one theory that was wriggling in my head for the most part.
Yeah, makes sense. Alrighty, Gail, tell me, what are your thoughts on Arc 4?
So this is one of my top 3 favorites out of all of the arcs. Tatari Higurashi, this one, and the 6th of the overall series.
Ooh, give me something to look forward to. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, every single arc of the second half is fantastic, but my huge soft spot for this arc comes... Well, partly because Rika is my favorite character of the main series. Love her.
Where's the run of love?
But the entire quality of the political aspirations and the world building in this chapter are very, very good at contextualizing and making people understand that the events of what's happening in the series aren't just random anime bullshit, but rather like actually grounded in real people's lives. Of course, the whole thing earlier on, when Akasaka first goes in, the part where he's like, oh yeah, I don't really get stuff like this, I'm not very smart. Like, I think it's cute that he is, like, as was previously stated, someone who's not familiar with politics. Like, he's a centrist, but it's not because he's like, this is the way it has to be, but rather because of a lack of teaching, a lack of awareness, which... He's young, but also there were a lot of like political activists at this point of time, so it's maybe not the best excuse.
Yeah.
The fact that he points out that the government is really up in a flurry about this is because they're scared of the communist and socialist sections of the Japanese parliament getting power. I've already mentioned this like a few times, but I look at that and I think it's really funny, but at the same time is being legitimately kind of terrifying because it speaks to the way that they're doing their best to shove down any kind of political protest of these people, and how just people protesting for the sake of their homes is seen as a extremist action. That means that, oh, we need to be afraid of you because of the Cold War, because we don't like the communists in our country. Within that, I wanted to say a thing about the dams is throughout decades in Japan, tens of thousands of people were displaced from their homes. I've not been able to find exact numbers about this, but it is a very severe issue of these time periods, that kind of displacement. And very oftentimes it was related back to small rural villages that were had a very long history and tradition, would sometimes have like different dialects of Japanese even, were not necessarily considered to be sort of like regular urban Japanese individuals. And as I think Jan mentioned this earlier, those who didn't engage in that or didn't want to be a part of that would oftentimes be punished by that idea of collectivism that was being pushed more by corporations and industrialization in addition to the government. Because people like to say Japan is collectivist. That's not really true. That's more of the post-war contract with companies in order to ensure economic growth. It's a huge mess. But the way that Ryukishi is sort of engaging with the idea of how many people have had their culture completely destroyed by industrialization, the issues of, like, is it worth it for these people to suffer just so we can get like hydroelectric power from dams. And then when you look further, it's like there's tons of literature that's even criticizing the relevance and the importance of a lot of these like thousands of dams that have been built in Japan, like whether they actually are making enough power to justify their existence. So even more so, it's like you have people that are just being broadly harmed by this. And I love that he talks about that in this. I love that Akasaka is brought around to understand why Hinamizawa is special by the end, that by the end of this arc, he's like, no, I don't, I'm really glad actually that apparently it's gonna be okay. And that's a very sweet thing to see. You see that he is growing as a person once he's actually exposed to people that aren't just other cops. So that's nice. And Rika is just very, very fun and interesting in this arc. The other favorite thing that I have though about this is the final 3 tips, the mother's diary tips that are being written from the perspective of Rika's mother. I was curious as to what everyone else felt about those because those are very fun tips.
Yeah, I first off, whoever put the I'm sorry, I Gail, I was listening to you the entire fucking time. I was hearing everything you were saying, but whoever fucking put the goddamn bird barrel on Takano, you legitimately made me cry. I had to mute myself.
I did that, and then I didn't think that you would see it. So when I noticed your reaction, I had to start holding in my own laughter, and now I'm crying.
You put a flaming fucking barrel right above her fucking head. How do you expect me to react to that shit? They're fucking dead ass bodies.
I didn't think you would see it. I'm sorry.
It's
I
fuck.
also
Go ahead.
Okay. I also thought it was pretty funny, but I wasn't like losing myself laughing, but then I looked on stream and saw Bob's reaction, had to mute because it is very infectious.
What the fuck, man? Oh, Jesus
I'm so
Christ.
sorry, Gail. This is all my fault.
Gail,
because
I'm so sorry. I
Jokes
feel
are good. Jokes are always
jokes are good and jokes are great. I want to. God damn it! Every time I look at her, I just see the fucking flaming barrel.
You need me to look at that.
And I imagine her fucking face in the fucking barrel just on fire. Anyway, no, Gail. I wanted to ask you specifically about how, because there is that mention by Akasaka that he just kind of assumed that, you know, Japan needed the power, like that the dam was, oh god, god damn it, stop it. It's not even her body, it's clearly someone else's. It's fucking bullshit.
I agree, Bob. I agree.
Maybe we should take over the cactuar and have that be the thing on fire.
Oh no, I thought that you were laughing at all the government talk, Bob.
Oh, the government talk's hilarious. But no, yeah, there was that mention. I wanted to ask you, Gail, like, what is that a thing that is like happening at this moment? Like, the government is just coming into places and just being like, this is a dam now, fuck everybody. Like,
oh, so
we need the power
point,
or something.
I did post a graph somewhere of the dams that have been built over each decade. I know that there is a lot more pushback to it today, and they are definitely still building dams, but basically every 10 years they would build like 200, 300 dams. And not every single one of those dams would involve displacing people, but it was a huge consideration for essentially the huge excuse for it was because of the post-war destruction. Like, so many places were just completely destroyed, especially major cities. They were firebombed. Firebombings actually were more destructive even than the 2 nuclear bombs that were dropped. Though those have like very long-lasting damage at this point.
Okay.
But the thing is, like, small towns like Hinamizawa, they wouldn't have been as they wouldn't have necessarily been dealing with being firebombed. Like, they would have been fine for the most part because they're in the middle of the wilderness and they have less reason to be attacked. So like, these places are totally fine. but then they're being displaced because the government says, well, I mean, you have to do this. This is for our country. This is for the sake of everyone else. You need to be willing to, move. And like, we'll fund you. But that means many of these people never went to high school. Many of these people only have up to a middle school education because they would immediately leave school and start working with the family. And they did not have the skills to transfer over into an urban environment like what the city wanted to push them to do. And even when they would have these land for land exchanges, it would rarely be like an equivalent kind of land as to what they'd used or farmed with in their original home area. But yeah, like the government was basically throwing everything at the wall to maintain and excuse any kind of like potential industrialization. America was hugely funding the Liberal Democratic Party to make sure they stayed in power.
Yeah.
And it was really important to them that they make sure that money went somewhere.
I was gonna say, I think a lot of the politics are very much a post-war politics, and I think that just from the little bit that I know of Japan, just from podcasts and stuff like that, even though it's been quite a while since World War II, and a lot of other nations have kind of moved on from the idea of World War II, it's still like in the common idea of something that happened, at least not necessarily semi-recently, but something that is still affecting a lot of culture today. And so it's always something that is still brought up even by children in this day and age, something that they remember. And I think that a lot of the industrialization really was just Bob is fucking killing me.
Do you think it's comparable to the way that the U.S. treats 9/11, maybe? Because it definitely reshaped a lot of the way that we handle things.
Well, that's pretty complicated right there, considering that unlike what America did to the Middle East, Japan became like a primary supplier of electronics and also war profiteering for the Korean War.
Yeah.
It is so complicated. It is so messy. I would say that it's not even like similar to how Germany's relationship with World War II is, because they constantly because the government is actively covering up the war crimes, like they in the 90s and the 2000s, and this is something that will come up later in Higurashi. The LDP was like, we need to get kids are being taught that Japan is bad. Kids are being taught to hate their country. We need to make sure to bring back Japanese nationalism. We need to bring back like Japanese patriotism to our schools, so that because that'll improve our economic situation, that'll improve our country. It's really a weird, unique situation that Japan has with World War II that is primarily kind of like, oh no, our country got destroyed and we did Pearl Harbor, ignore Manchuria, the second and first Japanese wars, the Russo-Japanese War.
The Russo-Japanese War, yeah.
Anecdotally, my friend who does my friend who does teach in Japan right now, according to him, his students right now seem to not have a lot of understanding of cultural things outside of Japan. I apparently some of them didn't know about the Holocaust.
There's a lot of Holocaust denialism in Japan even today. There was a famous...
Abe was a Holocaust denier.
He's also like the grandson of a war criminal that was arrested and then put into power by America as the party leader of the Liberal Democratic Party, that then Abe became the prime minister later on. Yeah. Sorry, it's fucked up. A lot of this is America's fault. Blame America.
And I think what is ironic is I really like the idea of Tokyo basically and the people in power in Japan saying this is for the sake of our country, this is for the sake of nationalism and stuff like that, destroying arguably what is the most Japan, which is the actual lived history of the peoples who've been living there for lifetimes. So
Yeah, I can't say it's like comparable to what Japan has done to the Okinawan people and the Ainu people, but it does make me think of that, especially like with how Okinawan language is like the written language that Okinawa had is like been completely stamped out, and they're only now trying to reintroduce one, which is, you know, depressing. And I know we've mentioned before, like, the idea of immigration being a big influence on this, and I think you can continue to consider that people coming from other countries to Japan throughout hundreds of years, like, they would settle in rural areas, because if living in an urban city center, not knowing like perfect Japanese or having like different customs, it's a very easy way to be isolated from everyone around you. So Hinamizawa in many ways reflects not only like older Japanese culture, but also like that important aspect of diaspora that is vital to like all of the characters. And yeah, it's just like the government's bad, and the government really is pushing these very harmful things. And I would say it's less of an issue today than it was, say, in the 80s, but it was still an issue until the early 2000s. I would have to do more research otherwise. But yeah, I'm sorry that we talk so much about this, but it's really interesting.
No, it is. And I'm sorry that I, again, was losing my stupid fucking mind, making a dumb visual joke that I could not stop laughing at. Look, that's going to be clipped, and it's going to absolutely destroy my fucking career. Of you guys talking about the Holocaust denial in Japan while I'm
firebombing
and firebombing while I'm laughing my fucking ass off about Takano happily burning in a fucking barrel.
This will be very funny in 200 hours.
And
for other reasons.
Oh God. Oh no. Anyway, but
you will be ashamed of your words and deeds.
I don't know if you'll actually be ashamed.
I think I already am. But yeah, just so you know, me laughing was not laughing about firebombing and the Holocaust.
Look, maybe it turns out that Takano's actually a war criminal or related to war criminals, so burning her while all of that, and laughing at her burning while all of that talk goes on, is exactly like the correct reaction.
I wouldn't doubt it. Takano does not seem like a person who we should trust. Anyway, well, thank you for that, Gail. That is fantastic. This is the kind of like backstory and like historical context that we need to really truly appreciate this story. And yeah, it's just so considered. I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Higurashi is so holistically like, it is this story. I think one of the things that really annoys me about Silent Hill sometimes is that it's not like it kind of contributes to this idea that, like, you know, there are these places that are like, there's this grand idea of like disconnection, like we're not connected, that the things that are happening in this world, that these personal things, are not connected to the outside world. Because of the things that happen in Silent Hill, you go there, you're cut off from everyone and everything, and no one really cares where you went because no one asks questions. Canonically, in that story, it's, you know, things that are happening there don't really seep outside. It's like what goes on in Silent Hill stays in Silent Hill. And I think that if Ryukishi really brings this kind of holistic, worldly, like considered approach to storytelling that is being shown in Higurashi to Silent Hill, I think that's fantastic. I really, really hope that we get some more political commentary, because I'm fucking tired of pretending like games aren't political.
I think that The Room was the closest we got to that, which is unfortunate.
Yes,
because I feel like it
fell
short.
And it did.
I think the other thing that to point out what you're talking about with the tip saying like you don't care about the person's house on fire across the river, I think really is contrasted with the end of the arc where Hinamizawa's disaster, the Hinamizawa disaster, literally affected the entire country and led to a whole new, you know, psychological disease called Hinamizawa syndrome. So
yeah, and that's the thing that, you know, whoever the narrator is, whoever they're supposed to be. It might be Rika, it might be someone else. I don't agree with them. I don't agree with that assessment. I don't agree that it's natural for us to not care about someone's house on fire just because there's an ocean between us. I think that that might be useful as a teaching moment, but I think the assumption that we don't care because our house is not in danger, I don't agree with that. And I think that one of the historical things that I think of all the time when that notion is asserted is Chernobyl. Chernobyl, was a global disaster. It wasn't just, the things that happened at Chernobyl were caused by, mistakes by the Russian government. But at the same time, that the effects of those mistakes were global. Like they could have been more like global, but largely it affected Europe for the most part. But at the same time, it's like to think like that is a mistake. Is basically what I'm saying. I think that you can have basic human empathy without worrying about your fucking worldly possessions going away. I think that it behooves us to consider I think sympathy and empathy are things that should be considered in that situation. I think that, I don't think everybody is just out for their own and, fuck you, I got mine. I think that that's a sentiment to fight against, not to just assume is the natural human way of being,
One thing I like to think about in regards to that is supposedly there's like fossil evidence of like prehistoric humans of cavemen essentially, where some of them had like wounds that had been treated and set or were like disabled in some way, that like old scars or old wounds to indicate that people in those like old prehistoric times were like disabled or weren't able-bodied, but were still part of the community. So it shows like it's been a thing, like even in where people might want to go like, oh, well, it's survival. You have to do or die, or you have to go help the thing, like help the community or kick you out. Well, no, like there's supposedly, if I'm correct about this, there's evidence that we've always like cared about people beyond what they can practically do for you. We're a social species, really. Like we've looked at each other as, being valuable because you're just here. And like it's been with us for a very long time. And I really do want to echo what you're saying. I honestly feel that a lot of this separation is artificial. It's because it benefits, not the majority of people are not benefited by this separation. The majority of people are more alike than we're different.
Right. Yeah, and it's a sentiment beautifully expressed in the movie It Comes at Night. It's a very bittersweet movie, but I think it really hammers home the idea that we are a social species, and when there is something like a disease that impacts our ability to be social, it really kind of proves how social we really are. And when that social aspect breaks down, so do we. And that's why it's bittersweet, because if you know the ending to that movie, then you know kind of what I'm getting at. But weird how there was another disease that happened in real life that affected our ability to be social. Anyway, moving on. Hi, how you doing?
There was?
No, I'm lying. I'm Rika now.
Good.
My eyes are all fucked
I
up.
thought it'd be weird if I missed that.
It's called Havana syndrome. Anyway.
Oh, fucking hell. Anyway.
Havana beer.
Having a Corona. Oh, God.
Oh.
Oh, she's on fire. What? Oh, no. Get her out of the barrel. Oh, God. I need to stop. All right.
Yeah, just getting back on track. Should we skip you and go to numbers, or 25?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was gonna skip to and go to 25 numbers. 25 numbers. Hey, how you doing? ACAB?
ACAB, of course.
Okay.
It's an incredibly hard act to follow, to be the person asked after Gail J.
I'll make sure to keep her at the very end next time.
Finale, always Gail J.
Always.
Walk us. I mean that in the nicest way possible. I loved every minute of it. It just it does make me feel a little bit self-conscious about how I get up on stage after this and say like,
Sorry.
Don't be
it's
sorry.
great.
Don't be
worry.
sorry. Don't be sorry.
Don't worry. It's wonderful. I swear. It's just,
Yes, 100%.
I have a lot less to say. I have a lot less to say. I like this arc, but I do think it is probably my least favorite of the first 4, which doesn't say it's bad. It's just I like the earlier 3 more. I really like the politicking stuff. I like Rika. Rika's wonderful. But a lot of what holds back for me is just that I don't, and I never really did find Akasaka that interesting. I don't hate him. He's fine. He just feels like he's kind of there. He's very 6 out of 10.
How
That's
dare
so
you talk
mean.
about how dare you talk about my new husband this way? He's been
I'm
widowed.
so sorry.
He's been
I'm so
widowed,
sorry.
and now he's available, and I am swooping in for the kill.
Catching him on the rebound, like
Yes.
50 years late.
6 years. I mean, he's over it.
Like 50 years
He's
late. She died in like
He's
78
clearly
or whatever.
He's clearly
I'm sure
not
he's-
over it. He's clearly
sure-
not over it.
I'm sure he's a fox.
Jesus Christ. Oh God. 25. Was that? Did you have anything else to say?
I really don't think I have that much more to say about this one. I like it. It's fine. It is my least favorite. It serves a good purpose as like a lot of tension relief, I guess, in a way. Because I think people would have died if the arc right after Higurashi was half as everything happening. This one's called Time Wasting Arc, is the translation, and I think that that's a bit of an exaggeration, but it is like a bit of a break arc. A little bit.
Would you maybe say that it is a misdirect to call it the time-wasting arc?
No.
Damn. Oh well. I tried.
One other thing I was going to point
Who
out.
put the
was
tire in Takano's fucking barrel?
that-
Why did you do that?
This whole time, I've just been doing really stupid shit, like we talked about the spelling of cactar, and
Okay.
You spelled it wrong.
I
Mm,
No,
literally...
Bob spelled it right.
UA is right. I would have bet anything it was AUR.
I spelled it right. You made me feel bad when I spelled it right.
I would have bet anything
Ah.
that it was AUR. I'm so mad.
It
There's
is
a ru-
UAR. I thought it was
It is-
AUR.
No, it's UAR.
Shit, it is, huh?
I literally thought it was AUR.
I
This
see.
is...
Y'all are showing yourselves not to be Final Fantasy 14 players.
Haha. Guess who
I'm
wins
sorry.
this round?
I'm gonna be honest with you. My exposure to Cactar is as a secret gummy ship blueprint in Kingdom Hearts games, and that one
What?
cameo I have 3 has like a big funny sign, and it's the only Final Fantasy characters in the base.
You
I
just made me
I have-
think of people
oh.
who got into the Silent Hill series by playing Homecoming first.
I have so many layers of autism. I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. It's fine. I just thought it was funny that like it never even occurred to me that people's first like experience with Final Fantasy would be
Okay.
Kingdom
Would be
Hearts.
Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah. Okay, let me be more precise. My first exposure to Final Fantasy was Final Fantasy 1 on the NES, which was released 15 years before I was born or whatever. But it was the first one I played, and then I played Kingdom Hearts, which means it technically wasn't my first exposure to Final Fantasy, but it was my first exposure to this pretty anime boy called Cloud and all that.
Oh yeah,
I feel that.
Yeah.
the prettiest boy.
It's like, hey, something feels really weird about this Leon guy.
God damn it.
One other thing I was going to point out with the Bob saying constantly the misdirects. One thing that I pointed out to Kat during this arc also was anytime that I came up with a theory, and then about like maybe 5 minutes later, it felt like that theory was then said by Akasaka. I was like, oh well, that's not true. Like anytime the game said my theory back to me, I was like, oh, I guess that one's off the table.
Yeah, at this point,
I don't know, but that's what it felt like.
at this point,
Stop
like
shrugging at me, Kat, in real time.
at this point, it's like if it hasn't been mentioned by the narrative outright, that's a viable candidate for what's happening. I don't buy that. Like, then again, I guess no matter what, we've gotten the three sort of reasons for everything happening. That it's all explained by man-made / natural things, that it's all explained by supernatural things, or that it's a combination of the two. So I guess no matter what, like, you fall into something that the narrative has put forward. But anyway, my head hurts from laughing so much. I'm actually kind of lightheaded.
Is it a good time for you to go Pepe Sylvia?
Yeah, this is a great time.
Yeah.
We should probably some music to set the tone.
Yeah. I was gonna ask someone to remind me to change the music.
Hey, well, there you go.
Oh, you guys are reading my mind. Interesting. All right, what do we want? Let me increase the volume. Let's see what we got.
Yeah, so tell me about your mind reading theory.
Ooh, yeah. Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah, here we go. All right, I'll put that on loop. There we go. Okay. Mind reading theory. What the fuck is that? I don't. No. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I think I may have. I don't have a mind reading theory. The thing that I thought. Okay, let me just go ahead and go with it. All right. So, Turin, talk to me. Turin, you there?
Yes. Yes, hello.
So you had a question for me. It was, if I remember correctly, why or how did Rika know what was going to happen?
Correct. 6 years before they happened.
So let me get you. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it low. Let's increase some music.
But she seems to have known everything for 6 years, if that makes sense.
So here's the thing. Let's go ahead and get groovy. Okay? Groove with me. Groove with me, Turin. Check this out. What if we've got a traitor? What if we got a couple traitors among this fine cast of characters? What if I were to tell you that Ryukishi is the most ACAB motherfucker ever? What if I told you that one of these characters is deliberately trying to dissuade actual police investigations from being effective, while also having another cop who is just a idiot who got fucked up by weed?
You mean swamp gas?
Swamp gas, weed, same diff.
Among Us.
God farts. Oyashiro-sama's farts.
It's my favorite one so far.
God farts. So, check this out, okay? I was thinking about this earlier today. Love this theory. So let's go with it. This is a continuation of 420 theory with a new twist. Akasaka is the culprit. He is enemy number one. With maybe Uishi is a little bit there. Let me explain myself. What if? Okay, let's use examples from previous arcs, right? Keiichi, whose name I can now properly pronounce. Also, I can spell cactuar right. Fuck you.
I'm sorry, I didn't know. I've learned now.
I'm kidding. It's fine. I'm just fucking around.
This is my first time I've ever been like, yeah, Mandela effect is real.
Yeah, no, for real.
There actually is reality shifting, but specifically just for me and just on this.
It's Baron Stain Bears? What the fuck timeline is this? Anyway, Chapter 1, Arc 1, Onikakushi. We have Keiichi. Basically, in my opinion, seeing characters doing crazy things and basically being extremely paranoid. To the point of potentially putting words in their mouths, because these characters, both Mion and Rena, were saying things that they had no business knowing. To me, that is a mental projection of what Keiichi is thinking onto them. What if the timeline was projected by Akasaka? And what if that was in itself a self-fulfilling prophecy? What if Akasaka thought that Rika was saying these things because he was high out of his fucking mind and then came back to make sure that they were fulfilled. What if Akasaka is the mastermind of everything? Because let me pose a question. Okay? Is everyone ready for this? Is everyone ready for my question?
Yeah.
That breaks all of Higurashi open. Wide open. We're going to crack this case wide open. If Akasaka knew the timeline because Rika told him, why, when the deaths started happening, including the death of the damn project foreman, why did he do nothing?
His wife died and he's sad.
His wife died and he was
Yeah.
sad.
That's
He's a wife guy. Did you
Post-wife
forget this part?
depression. It happens to the best of us.
You're going to tell me that his wife guyness, his wife guy disease was so pungent. I don't know what other word.
I mean,
so
all right,
extreme
here's the thing. I didn't
for
realize that
years,
Rika was asking for help.
for years after he learned not only that the damn project guy was killed, the foreman was killed, that Satoko's parents were killed, that Rika's parents were killed, that Satoko's aunt was beaten to death with a bat, that he was just like, whatever. I don't even know what's going on. That's bullshit. Akasaka fucking knows what's happening. He knows because he's the one who's fucking making sure that the timeline is staying true.
But
So
you
I guess
think that
Go ahead.
Everyone's tripping over themselves.
Sure. I guess my follow-up question is then, why is Rika asking for help from Akasaka specifically, and why would he want to keep the timeline same?
I think that Rika wasn't actually... See, here's the problem. We've already got multiple times in this series that we've got characters saying things, but we've also gotten the fact that we can't necessarily trust everything that everybody's saying. And I think that there is a hint within the game universe on when to trust the events that you're seeing in front of your eyes versus when not to. And that is when it's raining. I think that when it rains, the effect that the town has over people, aka the weed smell, is dissipated. There is something that I forget the word for it, but there is something that rain actually does. I think it might just be called dissipation. But when rain comes down, basically it attracts particulates onto its surface, which means that when it rains, if there's a weed smell, I'm sorry, I keep going with this weed thing, but
Petrichor.
Sorry?
That's what it brings out, the natural smell of what's already around in the natural area. The rain brings it out. That's the smell of rain. Petrichor.
So, what I'm saying is that this could be one of two things. One, first off, no matter what, the rain is important. I think that this chapter specifically calls out, especially like, who was the person? Was it you, Gail, who was talking about Rika's mom's diaries?
Yeah, the tips where Rika's mom was talking about hitting her and how she doesn't like all of the villagers saying that Rika is like so special and how weird Rika acts and how she can cook curry at like 10 years old or something.
I think that that is also a byproduct of a fucking high ass mom. She is affected by whatever the fuck is going on here. For some reason, I don't know why. It's really strange because so far it seems like the only people that are truly immune to this are like kids, like Satoko and Rika. Everyone who's like older than them seems to be susceptible to whatever the fuck is going on and could get weed eyes at any moment.
Weed eyes.
So my follow-up is, do you think that gas gas, quote unquote, like weed smell is related to, why would they gas the town then?
They didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't. It's a cover-up. It's a government cover-up. Because there are many...
He thinks that everybody got shot.
Well, either that or something else is happening. And we just don't know what the fuck is going on. I think that it's interesting that... that's the other part of this. Oishi, don't believe his lies. That motherfucker knew what's going on. He is a snake in the fucking grass. I think that he's also preventing, part of the reason why he went to Akasaka at the very end and said, Rika told you something very important, and he brought out the pen and paper. I think that part of him was also hoping that Akasaka would confess. But that's, I don't know, that's neither here nor there really, because here's my other thing. He was specifically described as being knocked out and passing out when he and Akasaka were trying to rescue the grandkid. He immediately got back up.
It.
You think he was faking it? I think that he was in league with both the kidnappers, and that's another reason why he didn't fire back when they left. I think that, yes, it would have been paperwork, like annoying and that kind of shit, but I also think that Oishi is the kind of dude who can forego paperwork and has been shown to not really to do things underhandedly. Like, a person like Oishi is the kind of person who would shoot someone in the back and then look at the people who saw that and be like, you saw nothing, you didn't fucking see that, and you're and if you did see something, I don't know, maybe you'll find a bullet in you. That's weird. Where'd that bullet come from? Strange. I think that he is working with the Sonozakis. I think that he is either, what would it be? A double agent? Or maybe just an agent of the Sonozakis. I think that this dude is so fucking oily that he's slippery. He's slippery. And I think that one of the main tells is when he is at the very end of this chapter, he's talking to Akasaka, and he said that he lost his partner. You remember that? Everybody remember that when he lost his partner in the accident? Remember his partner was specifically looking for him. Everybody was looking for Oishi. The reason why he was even there was because he was looking for Oishi. I think. I could be wrong on that one.
I think I just blew a hole in your one timeline theory. Tatari Goroshi, Oishi went missing. Bob?
That's what I was waiting for, by the way.
I'm so glad that I finally it feels like Ace Attorney, like, objection.
Putting on the witch red text.
So
here's the credits of Tatari Goroshi.
So wait,
how pronounced they were?
Yeah, I really want to. That's another thing that I would love to see, the credits that rolled, because I didn't get a chance to really read everything. So Oishi went missing, like he wasn't found at all. Yes or no?
No, I mean, oh, sorry. Yes.
Yes.
At the end of Tatari Goroshi, Oishi went missing and was never found.
Okay.
The difference between Tatari Goroshi and Himatsubushi is that Oishi's partner is the one that went missing.
Okay, let's scratch single timeline theory then. That's no. No, it's fine. I'm actually happy because now I can use that for my story going forward.
Yeah, you can.
I would love to. I don't think has anyone ever done that where they presented like a time loop story, but it actually is like not
one
looping. It's one
timeline?
Consistent timeline.
Yeah.
Yes, but it would be spoiled. I told you.
Yeah.
Oh fuck! Oh no! Did you just spoil me on? Oh, I'm not even gonna say.
No, it's something completely unrelated. It's not any WT. It's not any When They Cry thing. It's a different visual novel.
Nice save.
Yeah, I don't want to necessarily tell you about it.
Definitely
when you
not.
Just said that, but we'll come back to it.
Also, I feel like it's
definitely not Umineko.
That we could end up like mentioning like 4 different things and just like.
I was gonna say
like
there's I think there actually is another. Wait.
Fuck.
So
anyway.
Professor Layton. No, I'm joking.
No. That actually makes me happy because now the going forward, I don't have to worry about this stupid single timeline theory in the back of my head and trying to jive everything with it. I can just appreciate this as the thing that I originally thought it was instead of going out on the crazy like branch that I really enjoyed and like kind of was precious to me, but now has been fucking killed like a woman in a fucking barrel set on fire. Anyway, Um,
I'm so sorry. But...
no, it's fine. It's totally fine. I'm actually, again, I'm really happy because now this means that we could potentially get a much, much better end for all of the characters who are great and who I want to see not die in their sleep or like, you know, that's the other thing. Like, I didn't really fully believe single timeline theory either because chapter 1, like, fucking Keiichi is dead and people outside of Hinamizawa like recognize that, or at least he's definitely fucked up by it. How are you going to wake up like in, you know, a day or two or a week and your neck is totally fine, you didn't scratch your neck out, and everybody forgets that? I don't know. But here's the interesting thing: if that's the case, now we have the issue of characters are remembering things that they shouldn't, like Keiichi remembering Oishi's name for no reason. Hasn't met him before, no reason to know his name. Maybe it's just a coincidence. Maybe he heard his name on the wind. But like, I can't jive that now. I can't jive that.
I had two theories on that. So my one theory was a basic storytelling theory. It was just that because a lot of chapter 3 seemed to be like, instead of reintroducing characters that we got introduced to in previous chapters, it was a lot of Keiichi being like, oh yeah, that character, I met them off screen. Like Shion, for instance, I met her off screen and we had this wacky thing go on. I heard about, for instance, in Arc 1, we get to see Keiichi learn about the Dam Project. We get to see him learn about Oshiro-sama's curse in real time, whereas in Arc 3,
it's implied.
He's like, oh, I think I heard some kids talk about that.
Yeah.
So that was my original thought with him knowing Oishi's name. My second thought was also, if it is a time loop thing, is that there could be some residual memories that.
See, now we're in the problem of, okay, now we might have a half and half situation going on where it's half spiritual and half like people, because the time loop in and of itself sort of indicates that there's something supernatural going on. Either that, or we're pulling like the reins on the entire story and it's all like a what arc is do you think is canon type thing, like like these are really just like alternate universes rather than any like single.
Did you also notice the music that plays during the tips where it talks about different choices and stuff like that? The sound in the background of that soundtrack is the winding of a clock.
Right, yeah.
So,
which, you know, that's for me, it's like, okay, yeah, I can follow that metaphor, but now we're getting to the larger conversation of, well, who's winding it back? Is that, I guess that's supposed to be Oyashiro-sama. I almost didn't say Sama, but now I have to because single theory timeline is fucking dead in the water.
Respect on that name.
Now you've got to learn to respect God.
God damn it. Never. If God is real, I will kill him.
Immediately said, God damn it.
I tell you, oh my God. Fuck, whatever. My mom is super religious, and so I asked her during a family meal, like, hey, if God is real, can I kill him? And she was like, what? No.
I guess, yeah, that is my follow-up question. What is causing the time loop, if there is a time loop?
I've been talking too much. Anyone want to take that?
I guess as one of the more supernatural proponents, I should probably take this one. I guess one of my thoughts is there necessarily a cause, or is the multiverse kind of spreading in such a way that it's less about whether the time is looping and more that the information is getting transmitted? I'm sure I'm doing a poor job of making the point, but not necessarily that time is rewinding, but I guess it would be a more familiar concept for people who are familiar with Steins Gate, but just sending information back and then reacting to it, causing creating new timelines rather than necessarily a rewind of a single timeline.
The other way you could read it is potential futures being thought of by someone in real time. One of the original ideas I had when I was first playing Arc 1 was that wouldn't it be interesting if all of these sort of different timelines come from a single person thinking things through? Sort of potentially like Keiichi being like, well, knowing everything I know now, how could things go differently? Sort of like reliving either past events or sort of coming up with alternate futures. And then maybe the final question arc is a perfect, speed run of all of the good choices after running through all of the options and alternatives, kind of like, someone trying to win a game, thinking of potential futures.
And actually, I have a theory on that level that, I don't think Keiichi would be the one doing that. Rika's the one that has the perspective. Of course, we've established that we, the readers, have the game of trying to figure out what's going on, but maybe Rika is stuck in the game of she's living it. She knows where the fates are generally guiding things, and she's the one trying to introduce changes to make it better. She's in Arc 4, she specifically references a 1% chance throwing a stone into the lake to see if the ripples do anything, as she tells Akasaka about the future. And obviously in the Arc 4 timeline, Akasaka's too broken by his wife dying and possibly isolated in Tokyo, where he's not hearing about the Watanagashi deaths to react to it, to come back and do something about it. So the fact that she told him doesn't mean anything on this timeline.
There's
But
also
maybe
the fact that she cut the phone cords.
Did she actually do that? Do we
I
think that
she
that's
did.
legit? Okay.
And actually, this is a bit of a side note, but also on the sort of on the 420 gas poison theory, I have to credit the other thread I had been reading on the subject, where I've been keeping up to the same point, but as far as the throat clawing disease, one idea I saw there was that a poison, a toxin, might be responsible for that, but that the throat clawing effect doesn't happen unless the victim is also under severe mental stress, like Keiichi is in Arc 1. Tomitake gets jumped by like 5 guys. That happens to him pretty much on every loop. They cite that as a constant. And maybe they tried that on Akasaka, except Rika saved him by keeping him from learning about his wife until the next day, until the toxin faded.
That's interesting. I like that, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that jives.
I guess another follow-up question from me. I appear to be asking all the follow-ups. But so if Rika is the one looping, why is she only? Well, Bob, you seem to think she was involved in like chapter 2 in trying to save Shion. Was the one you said?
Yes.
Yeah. So shame Shion. Why didn't she interfere with, say, chapter 1 or chapter 3?
She didn't feel like it.
She's only got so much energy.
I don't know. Maybe she was preoccupied. We also don't see Shion in the first arc. So
Do we?
Oh, come on. God damn it. I can only handle so many fucking questions at a time.
I'm just throwing flash grenades out.
I
Well,
can't
part
handle
of
all
why
this
we
chaff.
have the board is so we can handle all the questions
Exactly.
that come.
Yeah.
Do we want to have Talosrail, do you have an idea of who the Sasibaka is? Do we want to also kind of look at the board and like point a finger?
Oh, let's see. So, I guess as far as the most suspicious people, well, obviously Miss Burning Barrel and Irie are probably the highest subjects out of people that we have seen.
I think that Irie is very suspicious to me too, because from the point of view of the grandson, it looked like he was the one that called for help, but really Irie just drove away. Didn't actually do anything about it.
Yeah, and I mean that's actually a multi-layered thing too in that, because what we see is, so we get the impression that the grandson sees Irie, gets the point, hey, I'm kidnapped, help me. And then Irie drives past Oishi and Akasaka without cluing them in.
Mm-hmm.
So there are kind of two options I see out of that. One, Irie is on the side of the kidnappers, or two, Irie doesn't trust Oishi to react correctly to the situation.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, he did know it was. They actually stopped and talked to each other, didn't they?
They did stop and they did talk, so it's
And
not
Irie, yeah, and it's not just that they passed each other by. Irie very specifically did not talk to Oishi about it. So it's really either there's only two options: either Irie's in on it or Oishi's in on it. That's only the two options there.
Or I suppose both.
It could. I mean, yeah, there could also be the fact that Akasaka is an outsider, and so neither of them want to tip him off to what's really going on beneath it. So, but at the very least, one or both of them are Sasibakas. So, I'm gonna keep saying that. By the way.
Yeah, it's interesting. Okay, here's a question for you, for the group. I'll change one of these "Why are we loopings" to who were the 5 people who killed the foreman?
You know what actually bums me out? I actually thought at the very, very beginning of this arc that Akasaka was actually Tomitake, until Rika said, "Oh, Tomitake Mach 2."
Yeah.
Mark 2, and then I was like,
yeah.
"Oh, it's not. They're not the same."
Well, that's the interesting thing. There's a lot of doubling going on. So if we're in the mode of like, oh, there's, duplicates floating around of people, that would explain a couple things, actually. That would explain Miss Barrelfire. That would explain some weirdness between Keiichi and Satoshi. That would explain, like, I don't know if they need explaining, but Mion and Shion. If there's like a doppelganger, like undercurrent going on here, that also might point to Akasaka and Tomitake being somehow like related or the same. I don't know. Yeah, we got to take Akasaka's jacket off to see his guns to really prove like that theory.
I think that this is a wild theory I'm gonna throw out there, but I think that Takano has a twin. And I think the biggest tip for me was in the tips when her notebook specifically said the problem with twins, and then my brain went, "You have a twin." Like,
interesting.
It's the only thing to me that would make sense as to why, like, because I personally don't think there is a supernatural reason as to why Takano was in 2 places at once. I think that can be explained by human interference.
What about Keiichi?
Keiichi, Kat, I already told you I can't explain what my theory is because it's a spoiler. So.
I like theories that are powered by spoilers.
I know. I have a lot of those.
Well, shit. It feels like the results we're coming to are contaminated somewhat.
No. I'm not posing any of those theories. Any theories that I have that are tainted by spoilers, I am keeping as far from the discussion as I can, honestly.
Gotcha. Well, I'm just going to throw out there, I think of the people that we've got to choose from, I'm pretty sure that Takano and Uishi are definitely among the 5 people who killed the foreman. I think that they're definitely kind of in on it. And I think that a lot of these deaths are about preventing that information from coming out, because that's the only real reason I can think of anyone killing our Mr. Gun Show, Tomitake.
Well, can I ask you a question?
No.
Where were you that night?
Sweats profusely. I was playing Higurashi when they cry.
Can we take a look at the list of people who did die, by the way? That timeline of events that Rika portended?
Yeah, right here.
Why them?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at earlier. I mean, it definitely seems like, okay, if we're looping, Rika's in on it. The Oyashiro-sama thing, it really just means that she kind of is part of this looping shit that's going on, which means that I guess the loops... Wait, no, that wouldn't make sense.
Do you remember what Rika said ultimately was her goal?
No.
She very specifically said to Akasaka when they were looking over the town that all she wants is to live a happy life with her friends.
Oh, yes, I remember that. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's okay. That jives. So yeah, okay. I'm fully on board with looping, and that. Yeah, Rika definitely seems to be kind of the person at the middle of everything, which kind of fucks up my theory about... Well, I don't know. I guess it doesn't really fuck it up, because if she's saying these things, I guess we have to believe her. And that it wouldn't be...
We might not have to, but it's...
Because my original thought, if you're going by a single timeline, or not single timeline, but 420 theory, that basically Akasaka's seeing something there when he doesn't, he's seeing something that isn't happening. He's putting words into Rika's mouth that aren't coming out of it. And if that's the case, that like none of what she's saying should really be taken at face value, other than the timeline being given to him, which, if you think about everybody who like would have a motive, or at least would know like what, that's just too coincidental for like someone to say the timeline and then for it to come to fruition. Like, okay, one of two things is happening. One, Akasaka is like in on it, and he's enforcing the timeline that he was that was portended, that he was given, or Rika just knew. And if Rika knew, then that means that the looping timeline thing is explained and it's proven right there. But also that when she was saying the stuff, that's actually her. That's actually like her conveying this information without any like semblance of influence of weed, like that doesn't play into it. No weed.
It also begs the question is why specifically go to Akasaka for help again?
Again?
I mean, you know,
If-
again,
if-
like I repeating my question again.
If Rika was reincarnated into his kid, I'm gonna fucking lose my mind. Anyway,
That doesn't even make sense.
no,
mean,
a lot of what
my-
I'm thinking doesn't make sense anymore.
I mean, I had a theory at looking at it. In fact, I had my notes have in all caps. Why does Miyuki know about Hinamizawa? She says something about Hinamizawa after when she goes up to her dad, and I had a reaction to that because why does she know that? This is not something that dad is likely to have told his precious daughter.
No, he did. In that scene, he did. He actually said to her, like, "Oh, you know, I met this this angel in Hinamizawa," and that's what caused her to say that.
She asked, like, can we go there?
Yeah, I want to meet this angel. I will be friends
Like
with her.
Silent Hill 1?
Yeah. What's that game? I've never heard of it. Like, hold on. Let me prepare this.
Are you saying Miyuki is really Heather?
All right, I'm not going to do it. I don't want to raise the counter. God forbid I raise the fucking
You know,
counter.
if we're mentioning reincarnations, the villagers do claim that Rika is the reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama.
Right. I take that as more like, oh, you know, wait, why would they fucking think that? That makes no sense. Why would they say to her mom that she isn't the reincarnation, but Rika is?
There's a specific schedule.
Because Rika is the 8th daughter in the generation.
8
Yeah.
being the
Her
infinity
8
symbol?
is, yeah.
If you put it on its side, 8 is infinity?
It's like the seventh son and the seventh son, I think.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like that kind of.
Damn it. Damn, we're really going hard into spiritualness now. See, this is kind of what I was afraid of. If there's not like a down to earth, quote unquote, like explanation for everything, now anything's on the table. Like it's kind of, you know, it's fun to come up with theories, but when the options are endless, I don't know. I kind of feel like it's a waste of time to think about them.
Is it endless?
And
well, that's the thing.
Kind of my.
Like,
I mean, that was kind of part of my my supernaturals involved, but I've been trying to avoid supernatural in the direct deaths specifically because, like, Keiichi curses someone and they drop dead. That's not something you can analyze.
I think that my specific line of reasoning currently, and this is somebody who knows some things and not everything. Stop laughing at me.
No, I'm laughing because I just zoomed and saw that somebody gave the Rika Reach a blunt.
That was Bob. I watched him do it in real time.
I didn't catch it. That's really good, thank you.
I just noticed.
hold on.
Hold
on, I'll do something.
I
again.
want to basically I want to explain as much as I can with not supernatural, if that makes sense. Rifa, I'm fucking dying. All right.
I'm a motherfucker. Anyway, don't you like? I hate how like, fuck this goddamn Canva was a terrible idea. It was simultaneously amazing and terrible because I love that it's here,
idea.
but it's also distracting the fuck out of me. Anyway, yeah. So shit. See, that's kind of my problem. Now that it's kind of like out of the realm, or that I'm leaning more toward that it's out of the realm of like, I don't know. I guess I don't fucking know. Damn it. This is tough.
I would say everything that you need to solve the mystery has been placed in front of you at this
Yeah, I
point.
know. I
Yeah,
heard that you can learn everything
Yeah.
from chapter 1, and it's like, I get that, but
Yeah. it's like easy to get overwhelmed by this kind of thing. And honestly, this is something that Umineko is also about, because it's like, oh, I think it was only supernatural versus, oh, I don't think it was only culprits, only humans, and that's sort of the huge struggle of that. And you can see how people struggled with that in this series as well. Like, it's all this reflection and trying to figure out like what people think at that base level.
Yeah, I think it also benefits from scrutiny, in which case we are not equipped to do that at the moment.
I mean, another thing, I guess this is just the overall thing, is Ryokishi is expecting you to solve something. And if like theories are like just opens the door to everything, that means it would just be he's specifically trying to get you to solve something. So there has to be like logic behind it.
Like I would say, like, giving yourself like 3 major ideas that you want to put together and solve, that you think are like the most important to the series or most important to what mystery there is. Like, this would solve this, this would solve this, and this would solve this, and see how many things that solves, rather than trying to make tons of keys for tons of things. Try to make as few as you can and plug them in.
It just seems daunting. It seems like
there are a lot of questions other than the wire relooping.
Yeah, and I'm always, I totally get the like, the fun, the game is figuring it out. And that is fun, don't get me wrong, but when there are so many mysteries, there are so many questions, and I get that you can solve it from like chapter 1.
Most important that he's been trying to convey to you.
That friends are important, that you are not an individual, you are connected to a larger group. Your actions have consequences. You are a rock in a lake that causes ripples that can affect everybody. We're not an island.
I want to pose to you one of my big theories about ultimate motivation. And again, this is coming from, I have no idea if this is true or not. I think that ultimately my biggest theory that I was going with is that somebody behind the scenes is trying to keep everybody in town in order to cause the disaster, to kill them, to cause some kind of political disruption in Japan. That idea of a small stone causing ripples that affect the entirety of the nation. So I personally think that is my idea behind the motivation, is that somebody intentionally was hoping to do a mass murder.
But who and why?
I think the why, again, is to cause political disruption, but I'm not sure who
but that's it?
would benefit.
Who would have the means?
It would have to be on the level of, like, the greater government.
You think it might be petty vengeance for what happened when the town...
think that it's...
Do you think that maybe the dam was kind of a highlight that this place, that Hinamizawa is organized and can fight back, and that it must be dealt with because it can do these things?
I believe so, yes.
So anyone connected to the government is suspicious.
That is my thinking, yes.
Just like in real life.
I was literally thinking that. I was driving around telling Rachel the story. She was like, please shut up. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. Oyashiro, blah, blah, blah.
Oh.
There's a cactuar. Anyway. This lady gets set on fire and it's fucking badass. Fuck.
I also, by the way, for the record, I think that theory, that idea that the mass death was intentional, is the reason why I am convinced that Irie killed himself, because I'm convinced that he was in on it and he killed himself right before it all happened.
Here's the thing that kills me. Chapter 3, Arc 3 is very eye-opening. Somewhat even... Maybe it's the eye-opening arc.
No, that's arc 5.
chapter. That's arc 5.
Oh god damn it!
That's like literally the translation.
That's literally
for
the
it.
call. That's literally what
Son
arc
of a
5 is called.
bitch! God damn it! I knew I read that somewhere. There are so many questions about arc 3 that I have. One of the main ones being, what's happening with Keiichi in the rain, killing the uncle whose name I forget.
Tepe.
Tepe, yeah. And while he's simultaneously at a party that one, he shouldn't be at, and two, shouldn't be happening because it's raining cats and dogs.
Well, I think they specifically said that the festival happened before it started raining, and so people were heading home from the festival in the rain.
Okay. So it was canceled. Or
It
was already done or something along those lines.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but
Wait,
the thing is that he was there. But he was also killing Tepe.
Mhm.
How does that jive? Like,
I would probably say, like, with any mystery, it's always helpful to kind of like take Occam's razor, and that
Twin.
might help to a degree in a bunch of things. I don't know, because there's tons of things here that are really complicated.
but the problem for me is that the twin theory or the doppelganger theory was posited by Irie. It was directly called out in the text, so that makes me not want to believe it. And also, Irie is suspicious. So
I think that Kat's big shrug there is probably also where I'm gonna say that I think that for me, I think this is one of the cases where I do believe the doppelganger theory.
but what would be causing doppelgangers?
There's gonna be an eye-opening arc about it, I think.
I don't know.
I don't know, maybe he has a twin.
Who?
Maybe he also has a twin. Maybe Keiichi also has a twin.
Maybe everyone has a twin.
If
Maybe
this is-
everybody has twins.
Maybe everybody has a twin, and Neon and Shion are unique in that they're, public about it.
Keiichi and Satoshi are yearly
There's
similar.
something in the water.
Keiichi and Satoshi do look very similar.
Wait a minute.
Suppose
Well, then
I've had
again,
the-
I mean, characters looking similar. Like, one thing that I've noticed that is kind of weird is that Rena and Chie basically have the same hair, just in different colors. It's not relevant to anything, but just like.
Well, I think we specifically said that both of those characters are based on other characters. Like they're
Yeah, true. I don't know, just. What?
Are we talking clones or are we talking traditional doppelgangers? Are we talking like, if we're using Shion and Mion as like a blueprint, then they're not the same. They've got two unique individual personalities. And if that's the case, then that jives with Satoshi and Keiichi. Almost did it again. Would that mean that Rika has a twin? A doppelganger?
I'm not sure. I mean, we could be getting into the weeds, but like, it could very well be that there are multiple characters that have twins, and we just don't know it.
See, this is weird because if it was Satoshi covering for Keiichi in Arc 3,
that actually could be it.
but his hair is different, so he would dye his hair or wear a fucking wig or God, I don't fucking know. I don't know.
Well, what motive would he have to do that? I think like motive should really be considered here before, like,
Yeah. Also, that's the other thing. Considering the motives of everybody around, it is very possible that there was no Keiichi at the event, and that everybody was just covering for his absence. because they knew what he was going to do.
That could also be true, yeah.
And then Keiichi, in his doped up, like incredibly like paranoid mind.
That was what I originally thought, was that when I first went into them all being like, oh yeah, Keiichi, you were there. That was my original thought and actually that would explain why Mion, not Shion. Why Mion and Rena were trying to take him to the dam to get him into a specific location, possibly to tell him like, hey, we know what happened. You need to be playing along with us right now.
Yeah. That's kind of what I inferred too, but then, I don't know, this doppelganger thing, I don't know. It feels like a red herring now. I just don't know. I think we're going down the wrong...
That they covered for him.
I guess we should center it on like questions you can answer.
Okay. Is Keiichi stupid?
Yes. Next question.
Is Rena the best character?
Yes. Next question.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you spell cactuar?
Still up for debate. Still up for debate.
It's a UA, not an AU. I've learned that today.
Not an alternate universe. And
Kat, can you think of a question that can be answered right now?
Mm-hmm. All of them. No.
Way to tease.
Well, a question that can be answered. Well, I feel like there would be like me knowing what.
Yeah, don't answer that. Don't answer that. I think that here. Let me go ahead and go with this. Arc 2 seems to be the easier of the arcs to sort of figure out what is going on. Definitely seems that we've got a bunch of things at play in that chapter that are also at play in chapter 1. I think that from that we can definitely say for certain that there is something happening to the characters causing them to be extremely paranoid to the point of violence. Can we all agree on that?
May not even be paranoia, because I think it could also just be a heightened sense of maybe the worst part of your personality.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, I think the paranoia kicks in most with Keiichi and maybe Satoko if she's influenced, although Satoko has the best reason to do everything she did in Arc 3.
Just like Jim Carrey's The Mask.
God damn it.
So Arc 1, Keiichi is very paranoid, and I mean, Reina's following him and he's freaking out about it, and then Mia and Reina hold him down and try to inject him with something which might be hostile, might be a cure, and he defends himself to lethal extent.
Okay, let's drill down into that actually real quick. The end of Arc 1. We know that the evidence for the syringe was removed. That specifically, I think it was Keiichi who wrote in that note that, wait a minute, wouldn't his parents have to be involved? He only told, unless they completely like fucked around with everything, unless the cops absolutely tore that room apart, how did they find that note without the parents telling them? The only people who knew about that note were Keiichi and his parents.
It is plausible that after Reina and Mion's corpses were found, that they told the police that Keiichi said something about the clock. So whether the police turned over his room or the parents told the police about it, I think that's reasonably natural that the police would discover the clock.
Okay. I agree with you. I think that's reasonable to assume.
Didn't we also point out that, so something that never came up again was the fact that, do you know who it was that Mion and Reina invited over to take a look at Keiichi because he was quote unquote sick?
I thought that was Irie.
It was Irie. And
So
Irie was the one that was at the door.
Right. So
And they were the ones that were chasing him like out the back of the house. They're the ones that are going like he's running away, he's getting away.
right, but they were also the ones who hit them with their car, the van, or was that Keiichi being subsumed by paranoia?
I think we're trying to solve Onikakushi again, and we got away from Watanagashi.
Yeah, no, and that's fine because I'm trying to.
Yeah.
We know that we can solve everything from one chapter, so why not just limit it to one chapter? Let's just limit it to chapter 1. Let's go back and investigate, knowing what we know from all the previous chapters and the consistencies that are happening. What is happening in Arc 1? To me,
So do we want to
go ahead.
look at the entirety of Onikakushi through the lens of Keiichi's paranoia is ramped to 100 and he's seeing things that aren't really happening?
Sure.
Or
And that seems to
Okay. explain
explain the ending of it when he's, his paranoia is ramped up and he's seeing the both Rena and Mion, holding him down or keeping him captive in his own home while trying to inject him with something. So,
In fact, on that subject, as far as I remember from Onikakushi, the only real mental distortion that I think I remember that I'm sure is a distortion would be Mion saying, "We're going to make happen to you what happened to Tomitake."
right.
And that was one of the first things that led me to think that the syringe might be a cure, because I was figuring it was easier to distort. What's happening to you led to what happened to Tomitake. We have to stop this. But he hears it as, "We're going to do this to you."
Right. Like it's being his paranoid state, his heightened state of paranoia is sort of messing with reality, the reality of what other characters are saying. And so if you look at it from the standpoint of, see, that's the interesting thing about Arc 1. All the characters seem to be completely like benign, and I had the epiphany when we were talking about it that Rena doesn't actually do anything to harm Keiichi. Rena doesn't do anything aggressive. Like she yells lies, but at the same time, like we have seen her do that in other arcs, but in this specific instance, I think that can all be sort of explained by Keiichi's heightened state of paranoia, which if you flip it around, there are moments where Rena, if you're looking at it through Rena's perspective, there are moments when she's seriously expressing concern for Keiichi, which doesn't jive with the paranoia. So that leads me to think that that's when the paranoia isn't completely overtaking Keiichi. Keiichi. Fuck. I corrected myself with the wrong pronunciation, so that's great. So does that mean that the question that I am trying to answer with regard to chapter 1 is, was the vial a benefit? Was that a cure to Keiichi's mental state, or was it really to kill him? Because if we think about what happened in that arc, as far as we know, Keiichi was not injected with that syringe, which means that when he clawed his own throat out, that had nothing to do with whatever was in that vial. That means that what was in the vial possibly was a cure to Keiichi's altered state of mind. And if we follow that thread through, that would mean that we've got several good characters, several characters who are on the good guys team. And that would be Rena,
Cat.
Mion, and the physicians and the doctors, and most specifically, I forget his name, the doctor. Irie. So,
all right, can I pose to you a question? And Kat may hit me over the head for this question, but it's a related question. Was there a needle in the mochi or not?
Oh, there totally wasn't a needle in the mochi. There was not. I guarantee it.
Okay, so
Because
going with
remember,
that-
think about. I hate saying it. Think about it, but every single time Oishi questioned Keiichi for evidence, he was unable to provide it, which also makes me think maybe Oishi isn't like the grand like. Maybe he's not wholly evil. Maybe he's only evil in that insofar as he is a cop. So every time,
All right, so there's no needle in the mochi.
I do not think there is.
Okay, I think that's where I'm gonna leave my question at. So,
Bob, I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, why did Reina and Mion have access to the syringe in that arc?
Why did Rika have access to the syringe in the third arc or second arc? Someone is helping them from behind the scenes, and the only thing that that's pointing to in chapter 1 is possibly the. Well, wait, if they got it from the doctor. Shit, maybe it's Mion. Maybe. Rena? Maybe it's Rena. Wait, it totally makes sense that it would be Rena, because Rena's already dealing with this shit. Holy fuck. Rena, it's Rena. It has to be Rena. Because Rena, remember, Rena went to Hinamizawa, originally was from Hinamizawa, and then moved away, and then had all of that, awful stuff with what happened at her school, and her breaking all the windows. She talked to a physician about what was going on, and she might have gotten something that would help her sort of calm down or chill out. Maybe Rena oh my god, Rena recognized what was fucking happening because it happened to her, and she fucking tried to help.
I have a second question for you, Bob.
Yes.
And I'm gonna keep going back to the mochi. I'm sorry, I'm pounding the mochi.
That's the new fucking I'm gonna change the name of
if there wasn't a needle in the mochi, then why is it that when Keiichi confronted Mion, that she was like, "It was a prank, bro. I'm sorry. It wasn't that big a deal. Why are you, freaking out over this?" So what was going on with the mochi? Needle the mochi, the popular saying.
Sorry, hold on. I love this is my new catchphrase. This is the new idiom.
That's an actual.
Everybody who's here.
It's an actual idiom.
Yeah, I was gonna. Is it actually an idiom? Damn it! I was gonna say we need to make it an idiom. Everybody here has a duty to say this at least once a day in front of other people. I was just pounding the mochi. Yeah, just kind of chilling.
Is that like time to make the donuts?
Yeah.
All right, so what was your question? I was too busy writing the words pounding the and mochi.
So there's no needle. If there's no needle in the mochi,
right?
Why did Keiichi went up to Mion and was like, I can't believe you did that to the mochi. And Mion was like, it was just a prank. I don't know why you're so upset over it. It wasn't that big a deal. And Keiichi's like, I could have died. And Mion's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, what was wrong with the mochi?
Maybe it was hot sauce or something that something that Keiichi in his mental state would think would interpret as a needle, but was actually
let's say wasabi.
Sure. Yes, something that some kind of additive that's still food, but would provoke a reaction, a sharp reaction that would cause him to have a natural spit it out and get it out immediately thing if he's not expecting it, that he could then retcon into being a needle.
Yeah, that's a good point. She did say that stuff. I want to see. This is another thing that I want to do. I kind of want to go through arc 1 all over again, just to see, like, to pick up on stuff and really kind of dig into the specific wording of what people are saying and how they're saying it. Because I think that the answer is in there. It's just a matter of, really accounting for how people are thinking in their, like, people's state of mind.
Oh my god, I got it. That's what happened to Satoshi. They put him in the mochi.
Hell yeah.
The truth is out there.
They pounded him.
He was very small. They put him in there.
It's true. Very. Oh man. He bit down on like a fingernail and was like, oh fuck.
Oh,
no,
God,
it was the
What, is this
entire
a boy?
Satoshi in one mochi. They never said how tall he was.
It's true.
Can't believe that Satoshi was fucking Isunboshi this whole time.
Wow, he's really strong to be able to pick up that bat.
Smaller Satoshi theory.
You
Want
that's
to
an
put
interesting.
hot sauce theory into the theories, or chili flakes theories, or wasabi theory? I once had wasabi as a prank, by the way. My sister held up a tube of wasabi and went, "Does this smell funny to you?" I went to sniff it, and she squirted the whole thing up my nose.
That's a little fucked up.
She thought it would be funny. Then I started screaming, and then she thought it wasn't funny anymore, so she ran away and locked herself in her bedroom for half an hour.
And that is the answer to Onikakushi. No.
That is the answer to Onikakushi.
Perfect. Figured it out. Well done, everybody. Shit. Yeah. Fuck. There are a bunch of other questions. Fuck.
Oh, such as?
But if we're limiting ourselves to arc 1, there's also why is Satoshi what happened to Satoshi, which I think we can infer from the previous arcs, but why specifically is it happening again to Keiichi? Why is Keiichi doing the exact same shit that Satoshi did? Down to defending himself with the bat.
One of the after parties kind of mentioned this, but why is it always Keiichi?
Why is what always Keiichi?
Why is Keiichi always kind of like at the center of all this? Why does it always seem to come down to whatever Keiichi's doing?
Well, I don't think it is. I think that that's a conclusion drawn from the fact that he is the main character. I think that there are things happening to all of these characters behind the scenes, and I guarantee the answer arcs are going to show all of these various things happening that were going on behind the scenes. Like, I really, really want to know what the fuck Shion was up to in arc 1, Onikakushi. Like, I know she was doing something. I need to know what Rena was up to as well. I think that to think that things are only happening to Keiichi is a result of him just being the main character. And naturally things are, when they're presented in that way, they're happening to, they seem like everything's happening to you. It's like everybody's the protagonist of their own story, but, kind of like...
And to cross-reference arc 3 for a moment, Keiichi thinks he's cursing people to death, and that's probably not true. So he's cursing people and people are dying, but it is probably not Keiichi cursing people and then they die. Keiichi's cursing people and then they are dying because of the things that are happening in their stories to make them die. But from Keiichi's perspective, he starts becoming increasingly more convinced that he is literally cursing people to death.
Right. Do we think that maybe the reason why Rika isn't really paying attention to this, or paying attention to Keiichi, is because this is her first time through this sort of timeline? Maybe this is her first run through, and she was preoccupied with other things, like potentially what's happening with Satoko, and that's the reason why they kind of disappear.
Well, for one thing, Rika knows that she's going to die, and we don't see that on Arc 1. So she may literally be busy dying off screen in a way that Keiichi doesn't have the mental bandwidth to even considering what's going on with him.
It's interesting because the timeline presented in Arc 4 seems to indicate that every single one of these arcs ends with Rika dying. So it is interesting to point out, like you just did, that every single arc, including Arc 1, Rika is off dying somewhere. So if that's the case, who are the missing parties in that situation? I'm also kind of
track of Satoko.
Yeah, we do. Do we think Satoko would be susceptible to... Oh, wait, no, I know what happened. Rika just followed Satoko into the woods, and then she got fucking caught in a bear trap and died.
There's the reason I put Mousetrap next to Satoko.
I
didn't even notice that. Fuck.
I have a question for you, Bob, in regards to... your theory for Chapter 2 was that Mion and Shion swapped places, right?
Yes, still is.
Do you think they're swapping places in other chapters too?
I mean, that's kind of why I'm interested in what's going to happen in Chapter 5. I think it's possible. It's definitely possible. I think that it might not be... That might... See, this is what makes me curious about what is going on with the doppelganger thing, because if anything, that seems to be the most red herring that you could possibly red herring, because it plays no, it's not even hinted at in Chapter 1. It's not even like when people say that you can solve this entire series off of just Chapter 1, Onikakushi, do they mean that after you have the full context of the other question arcs, or do they mean that once you get done playing Chapter 1, you can figure it out?
I would generally say there's one specific key that will help to solve the other question arcs, basically. That's how Ryukishi actually described it in the manga adaptation at the end. He said he put in a very specific key that'll be useful for how you engage with the future arcs.
A Moch key, if you will.
Moch key.
Indeed.
Pounding the Moch key.
I see someone red. The stream. Shit. Well then, what is the key? We are looking for a key. There is a single thing that solves everything, and it doesn't seem like we've found it yet. Because if we did...
It's not really a key that solves everything, but rather a key that can make it easier to solve other things. So don't take it as like a single key.
It's not a single solution. It's maybe a method of interpreting what is happening.
Just sort of like there's a few different like reasons why things are happening, but obviously you haven't been introduced to a bunch of characters at that point. But you can kind of take what you know about the characters in the first chapter and then continue to apply and work them in. It's definitely like hard to explain like how each of them connect to one another, and hopefully I'm sure that given more time you could probably consider more stuff.
I almost don't want to start the next chapter until I have like a concrete theory that I want to like cling to, one that isn't single timeline theory. Thank you, Meowtroid.
I'm getting less and less sorry as I go on, honestly.
You don't need to be
that
sorry.
Was very fun.
That was incredibly funny, just watching it die in real time.
I mean, I actually came to the stream prepared to assassinate a theory, but it hasn't come back up yet.
What theory?
You had mentioned something in the Discord about the possibility that Oishi was Mion and Shion's father.
Oh yeah. Well, here's the thing. I like to throw out bullshit just because I like.
Sticks.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's kind of, you know, if you're familiar with anything, you know, any videos that I've done, it's sometimes I like to to figure out PT, throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. And You know.
It's a really interesting theory, though. Honestly,
I wanted it to be true because it contextualizes a lot of things, such as why does Mion hate Oishi so much? Because he's her dad. He's her dad, and they've got family issues.
yeah.
And like it contextual. I mean, why is Oishi raging so hard in Arc 3? Maybe he's getting an echo from Mion and Shion dying in Arc 2, and he's their dad and angry about that.
It would also be, really interesting to kind of playing off of that if the informant that Oishi, gave to Akasaka, Oishi was actually the one that told him everything to then repeat back, to Akasaka.
It does say that the dad married into the family.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
Now I had said I was prepared to assassinate it because I was thinking over the theory, trying to double check it and see what it said, and the one piece that I thought of to try and disprove it was there's the one scene where Representative Sonozaki is barreling into the police station calling for the chief's head because the police are investigating the Sonozaki house, and of course the Yakuza and their power network is trying to stop that. And he storms into the chief's office when Oishi is there, and he rabble, how dare you violate our privacy? Get that Oishi guy in here so I can yell at him too. And the chief says, Detective, go do your work. And Oishi leaves. And if Oishi had married into the family, I mean, the Sonozakis are very obviously a large family, but someone who married into the main house, I think his face would be known.
I mean, for me, the way I would jive that, if I were to defend that theory, I think that it is possible that the Sonozaki person that showed up that day was an uncle, like one of the Sonozakis, because the Sonozakis are a big family. I don't think I would have
Could
to
also be somebody pretending to be.
It is very true. Yes, I think that there is a lot of
yeah.
deception going on here, and there's a possibility that in order to here's the thing that is constantly fucking with me, and I cannot jive any of this shit with it. Why is Mion the head of this family? Like, why is she the mouthpiece for the Sonozakis? Why is she the head of S Group? Why? Like, that doesn't make any sense other than to kind of take the heat off of the parents, or it is clearly a misdirect. It is to put to spin it in a good way. Like, how can you be mad at this organized crime unit when the head of it's a little girl? Oh, aren't you adorable? I won't take you seriously. It doesn't make sense. It just, the Sonozaki thing just doesn't
you did bring it up earlier in that Mion does seem like a mouthpiece to what was it? Oreo? Sonozaki?
Oreo. Yes, Oreo's Sonozaki, yes. Yeah, and to me, that means that, like, I guess that would mean that, okay, if we think about it that way, she is nothing more than a mouthpiece, which means that the people in power are still Oreo and potentially the father and potentially the mother. Mr. and Mrs. Sonozaki, Mion and Shion's father and mother. Potentially the father and mother. It also seems like the Furude mom is like the head of that clan, or at least was before she was killed. Fuck.
And actually, while we're talking about the Furudes, I had the theory that that Mr. Furude, Rika's father, was the informant. It had to be someone who was in that room hearing the things, and he's one of the few people with a face and it's not. I think it's safely not Mayor Kimiyoshi that's the informant. But if we're going to be able to guess anyone, it would be Rika's father that might be the informant at the Mahjong parlor.
I don't see Rika's father being able to show his face in a mahjong parlor and having his reputation stay intact because he's a priest. That is just my opinion. I think, yeah. If we're trying to think logically, well, let's think about like that meeting in general. If it's really only just the who is there that could possibly be an informant? I'm starting to actually kind of like this Oishi as a Sonozaki theory, but I don't know if I buy it. But it is kind of fun.
It would also explain why he's so pissed off and wants to figure out what happened at the end of Arc 4, because his family was wiped out.
I also think that there is some very obvious tension between Oryo and the father of Shiana Mion, who, yeah, like Oryo disowned him and Shiana Mion's father, I mean, and and his wife. They were both disowned from the family, basically. Like they were no longer allowed to carry the name. Even her own daughter had to change her name. So
Right.
So it very well could be that it is the father that is the informant, because he was present at the meeting.
Do we know
Whether or not that
who-
was Oishi, that might be up for debate, but I do think that the father was the informant, because I also think that the father was the Mahjong player.
Yeah.
I did want to mention a quick context about names and whatnot. When it comes to the Koseki, which is the family registry in Japan, women are almost universally expected to take the last names of their husband. So that could... This isn't me spoiling anything. This is just sort of like a cultural context potential for like their mom marrying someone outside of the family or trying to take his last name, or maybe Oryo deciding he isn't good enough for the Sonozaki name, because it's very, very unusual for a man to be brought into the wife's family and be put on their family registry, because it's like a family tree that counts as like your birth certificate, your marriage record, your death certificate, so on and so forth.
So that would make sense if it is Oishi, and that's why Mr. Delicious himself would not have his last name being given to all the other members of the Sonozaki family. Not to mention how big the Sonozaki name is. It makes no sense for especially someone who's potentially possibly trying to remain undercover to take that name. That being said, shit, I don't know.
I think there's still quite a few holes in the theory that Oishi is their father, but I think that it's very possible that Shiana Mion's father is playing a bigger role than we.
Oh, absolutely.
originally
And
given credit for.
absolutely. The evidence for that being that we don't know who the fuck he is. Like, the narrative is is explicitly hiding that from us. Hiding Mion and Shion's mom and dad.
Kiryu.
What's that?
I think it's personally Kazuma Kiryu.
Oh, absolutely.
I guess speaking of sirs and madams not appearing in this work, we also haven't really heard anything about Reina's family. Like, we met, Keiichi talks to Reina's father for all of like one sentence in, I believe, Onikakushi, calling Reina's house, and that's it. We don't really hear about her parents at all for the rest of the story.
Yeah, that is another thing that's very interesting. Who is Rena's dad? And potentially who was her mom? Now, yeah. Interesting. A lot of shit going on.
I have a lot of questions. I mean, another question that I want to know is like, or another thing that I want to know is like, why is half of the people that were killed throughout the Watanagashis Hojos?
Yeah, that's definitely one of the major. I mean, we learn about that right in Arc 1. Like, it definitely is a major thing. The Hojos seem to have gotten the extreme short end of the stick, and I'm not sure why. Because, okay, let's go ahead and I'm just gonna say it. Fucking Takano poisoned Keiichi. We know that she's a nurse. It's multiple times it is said that she is a nurse. Keiichi got a shot when he went to the doctor's office, and that is largely when shit started to really go downhill. Things were going downhill, but that's when it really fucking started going. And we also know that there is a possibility, it is definitely inferred that Tomitake was injected with something, and that's what caused him to or not caused him to specifically go nuts, but caused him to tear his throat out when he did. So the fact that he wasn't injected at the time when Rena and Mion were trying to save him, he didn't get the shot. That meant that he did claw his own throat out, which means that if Tomitake did, that means that he did because he was injected with something. We know that Tomitake and Takano were together, so that would mean that potentially that links Takano in both situations. She is a nurse. She was at the doctor's office. We hear a lady's voice asking Keiichi to get a shot. He gets a shot. That woman was not acknowledged at that point. I think that is kind of the linchpin right there. Takano is confirmed beyond all doubt up to something. She is potentially the main antagonist of chapter 1. The person who at the very least is the link between the deaths of Tomitake and Mion. Thank you for putting the syringe. Thank you. Yeah, throw it in the dumpster. Yes.
You're welcome.
Why would she be only for one?
I just noticed they were right next to each other, so I was like, oh, I might as well.
Exactly. What were you going to say?
Sorry, if you're referring to me, you said for one. Why would it only be one? Or are you only looking at one?
I'm only looking at one. That's all that I care about right now. Especially because things change. One of the main differences between Arc 1 and Arcs 2, 3, and 4 is that Takano is found dead and fried up to a crisp in a dumpster in all of those arcs, which doesn't jive with the one death, one disappearance thing of Oyashio-sama's curse, right? We know that one person disappears, one person is found dead, but in chapter 2, 3, and 4, 2 people are found dead. So in chapter 1, things appear to be going the way that they should, with Tomitake dead, clawed his own throat out, and Takano dead, or Takano disappeared. We have no idea what happened to her. If we are to assume that she is found dead in a barrel, that's possibly an indication of someone found out about what she was doing or what she did and took action. Underhandedly, which is very strange because something nefarious is happening behind the scenes. I think that Takano, girl boss she may be, murderer,
final boss maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Can we get some final boss music up in this? This lady's fucking Andros.
Oh my god.
Yeah, find out how to replicate that with clip art. Anyway,
my follow-up question to that is, if Takano knew that there was one death and one disappearance, why didn't she go the route of making it a disappearance? Why did she do all the tire fire stuff?
She did disappear. We don't know that she did the tire fire in chapter 1 because we don't hear about it. It is possible. She straight up disappears in chapter 1, which leads me to believe, leads me to think, why was the tire fire found in chapter 2, 3, and 4? What was different about those chapters that caused her to be found? For me, it's more she got away with it. You know, if we're talking about these chapters in terms of like bad endings, Arc 1, Chapter 1 seems to me to be the ultimate bad end. The worst case possible scenario. And one of the things that would make it the worst case is Takano getting away with it. Getting away with not only murder, but also basically faking her death. But why?
Or faking her disappearance.
Yeah, exactly. Hiding it with the, under the guise of the Oishiro-sama's curse. She was Onikakushi'd. So, especially she also did call this her life's work in one of the later arcs, which is like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I love how she definitely is a liar in that we can tell that in previous conversations she says it's a hobby, but then in her own journals she says it's her life's, or in other conversations she said it's her life's work. So it's clearly not just an interest, a mild interest or a hobby. So we know she's a liar, at the very least. Liar on fire, one might say.
Yeah, a liar on tire fire. Is it possible that she just wanted to taste blood? That she wanted to kill and get away with it because that's something that was within her ability and decided to do it? Because she saw an opening with Tomitake, who, ventured out occasionally.
With Oishiro-sama's curse.
Exactly. Is it possible that her... Well, wait. Why would she do that? Why would she do that?
Do you think the motives of the so-called culprit are consistent in every arc?
I mean, they should be. They'd change based on necessity. Like, if you're saying that Oishi is, the main culprit, then, it's possible that Oishi is drawn to different actions based on characters' actions. Like, the motivation is to, let's just say for shits and giggles, for kicks and grins, that you can't trust the fucking government and cops are all fucking bad. Let's just go down that hypothetical road. And basically, in saying that, Oishi would basically be covering up anything that would make this situation look like it's an act of the government. For me, that's kind of an interesting motivation for what the characters are doing, especially a bunch of characters. Anyone who's on the corporate or the government dollar is basically looking at this place as a problem zone, in an area that needs to be a sharp point that needs to be filed down, basically. And if that's the case, Oishi would be going around basically handling situations as needed based on how that situation comes to fruition. So if it's if something comes up that makes the government look good, then he'll lean into that. If something comes up that makes them look bad, he might try to cover it up.
That does explain why Tomitake is the most consistent death. I mean, if you look at it as he's a journalist, and with your theory, Oishi would always have a reason to kill Tomitake.
Yeah, you're right, Indestructible Cat. I no longer believe that theory. Thank you very much. Yeah, now that Indestructible Cat piped up and tried to throw me off with the fucking red herring, I don't. Yeah, scratch that. Everything I just said is wrong. Don't believe it.
No, I think this was one of those rare times where Cat was giving you a pat on the back and being like, no, genuinely that follows through, because I actually think that you gotta learn how to talk to Cat sometimes. When it comes to this
I was purely joking. I was purely I was fucking around. I didn't mean anything. I was just because of the natural inclination that some of you folks
Cat is gaslighting. I know.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yes, that's kind of been the through line for me this entire time. There's a reason that Tomitake is dying, and I kind of inferred that. I think on our discussion of chapter 2, I talked about, or maybe it was 3. I talked about how Tomitake having a camera and being able to document these things proves to be a problem, proves to be a threat. It is.
I think chapter 3 all but confirms that when it seems that Takano clearly seems to know that Tomitake has died and is clearly doing some suspicious shit where she says, like, you know, we did not see each other tonight.
Yes, exactly.
So.
Yeah, I think we're losing people because we've been going on for probably 5 fucking hours.
Not yet.
Staghorn.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and start wrapping things up. I do have to wake up early tomorrow for work, so.
I'm gonna end up staying. I have to wake up early, and I'm gonna end up staying up late tonight, just playing more fucking. I want to play chapter 5 so bad.
I do too, but I also want to play chapter 1 and really kind of lock in my thoughts. Maybe I won't play it. I'll just watch like a YouTube video and not look at comments.
Is there any one thing that you really feel like you want to be right?
Weed theory.
420 theory. Smoke weed every day theory.
I guess.
Mainly because something is going on with the descriptions of the wind and stuff. Like, that seems weird. Really, really, really weird to me. Anyway.
So do you think it's being caused by natural causes or by artificial causes?
You know, that actually is a good point. If it is man-made, that would explain a lot of things.
Maybe Ryukishi just loved to talk about wind.
It's true.
Because you were talking about like the gas, but then also like drugs and hallucinations and stuff. So I was wondering, like, if your position was that it was like happening because of the environment or happening because something was being done. Just wanted to clarify.
My love of Silent Hill makes me want to think that it's just a natural thing that's happening to people, and people really don't know why. Because I like that. I like people fighting against nature in that way and just trying to figure it out. Not necessarily conquer it, but just learn the beast that they're dealing with and learn to live with it. Because it seems that the government's opinion on this whole situation is, sink it underwater so that we don't have to worry about it. Something weird is happening. Like, the government is covering up something in this. We know that much from chapter 3. It's just like, I don't know. Do I want that theory to be the thing? I mean, I want one of my fucking theories to be like legit. I want to be on the right path with something. But yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. Bob, if I were to,
I can't wait. Bob, I genuinely can't wait for you to get to the end, because there's something, I won't say anymore. I can't wait for you to get to the end.
Neither can
There's
I.
something.
There is something, but
something.
I can't mention what it is until the
If
end.
the end of this
There's
is
a lot of things.
There are many things.
There are many things.
There are many things. Pounding the
Many
moch
people
key,
are
there are
saying
many things.
Many valid theories await you.
If it gets to the end of this and Ryukishi starts talking about a silent town in America, I'm gonna fucking fall over and never get up.
You do have 4 chapters
All-
left. Who knows
All a
what?
dream.
If it's all a dream, I'm flipping.
Quit.
But it was written really, really well, though.
Sure.
It's not a dream. I'm sorry to spoil you on that.
Aw.
Yeah, it's aliens.
Well,
Fuck
we
you,
all
right?
know it's aliens. That's just obvious. Everybody here,
Yeah,
everybody you
from
see
that
here,
country.
aliens.
Wait, no,
True.
brainworms. Wait, no, 5G networks.
Oh my
Wait.
god.
No.
Bugs.
Cactuars.
Cactus.
All cicadas.
But
What
Bob,
if all
if you, I was just gonna say, Bob, if you do choose to reread chapter 1, you could definitely set up like a channel on the server to just kind of like post those thoughts, and then we could like freak out about it elsewhere, because that's always fun.
I'm gonna go
just drop
through
a
it.
bunch of thinking emojis.
Yeah. I can't wait to.
Scratching.
I can't wait to post some real fucking shit, and then just everybody reacts with thinking emojis. Perfect.
I
Thank
also
you.
can't wait. I don't know about you.
Very helpful.
I still think that the mochi is the mochi.
Yes. Of which we all need to pound. All right, y'all. Oh, come on. You gotta give that alien some fucking weedy eyes. Come on.
You gotta give him a blunt.
Yeah. Here you go, little buddy. Here. Puff pass. There you go.
Thank you.
There you go, little buddy. There you go.
Wait. I have.
I don't know what's going on.
I have a thing that I need to add to this alien.
Edit image.
I'm so sorry.
Oh no.
Oh, and since we're having
Oh,
fun
damn
with
it,
this
it
thing,
didn't work.
I was just gonna say, if anyone wants to see any of the more detailed or the sources that I've been using for some of my
Bob, you
context
got
for
to it before I
Higurashi,
could.
I do have a thread on Bob's server that people can look at if they want. It's like several thousand words now, though. So
Almost as long as Higurashi itself.
no, God, that's million.
So, if we know that the mochi is the key, and we know that rabbits pound mochi on the moon, and rabbits are in the forest, and rabbits eat grass, some grass is weed confirmed.
Exactly.
Also, there are apple rabbits. Don't forget.
Apple rabbits. Hell yeah. Hold on, I'm fucking around with this now.
Now I'm gonna
Cover-
start adding apple
cover for me,
rabbits
cover
in
for
here.
me.
Hold on.
Bring to the front. Bring to the front. No! Bring to the front.
Oh goodness gracious.
Where? How come I
Bring to
can't?
front only shows up when it's over another image. for the
Oh, cool. Okay. Bring forward. Okay. And then edit image, background remover.
That is cursed.
Oh no.
Genuinely horrific. Thank you.
Thank God.
Give you that blood fact, god damn it. There we go.
I think that's a good.
It's beautiful. It's art. Art. Your paragraph text. Your paragraph text.
I'm getting hiccups from this.
Ah,
That's a good note to end it on.
that's an absolutely amazing note to end it on. All right, y'all. It has been so long. Thank you very much for joining us. It was very eventful, very useful. I am excited to get to the real shit. I'm excited to figure shit out. Oh my god. So
She's here.
gigantic. Coming
What
to,
do you think you will
coming to-
learn in chapter 5?
coming to grab us all. Chapter 5, I think we're going to learn how to pound the mochi. I don't know.
I've got
I really don't know.
hiccups now. Oh, you killed me, Bob.
I'm sorry. Come on, you got it.
Five, you're gonna see a real glow up for writing and music. It's gonna be sick as hell. The music is fantastic.
Oh, sweet. Awesome. I've already really liked the music, so yeah, that's actually really cool. All right.
I need that. I need to have that actual image as our Higurashi cicada heads. Like,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I might make that the art for this
you have
episode.
to make that the image for the video for this
Yeah,
for this VOD.
I'll do a
Yeah, make
better
it the thumbnail.
I'll do a better version of it and then share it with y'all.
That has to be the VOD.
It's Rika. It's perfect.
Not Rika. It's Rifa.
She's here to ruin all your theories.
By grabbing them and throwing them on the ground with her amazingly giant masculine hand. All right, y'all. Thank you very
All
much for joining. It was very fun. And yeah, I actually laughed quite a lot in this one. So take care. Y'all have a great one. Peace. Bye.
Peace.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.